All right. It's all you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Write Once, Read Many, the Worm Review Pod. It's not really a
It's
podcast,
like a
is it?
stream.
Do you call it a podcast or stream? Yeah, just a stream.
I caught myself calling it a podcast a lot initially when I was making it, but then I realized it's only kind of a podcast. I
We
mean,
do a lot of talking.
yeah. I think the stream aspect of it is important because I spend a huge chunk of it talking to the audience.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
getting
true.
the
And
link out there, yeah.
we gotta acknowledge our besties. 2 + 4 × 5 and Vale. Greg does not shout out. He's required. He's a required listener.
Required reading.
Yeah. So I have my guest William today, and we're gonna be reviewing chapters 17.5 and 17.6 from the best arc of the book, where
Vale,
nobody does anything wrong.
Vale, you
Wait,
and
was
2
I
+ 4
required?
× 5 are honored guests, and
You guys are cherished guests. Greg is a required listener.
let's see here.
It's not that he's not also a cherished guest. It's just when he's not here, I go, whoa.
All right, hang
Go,
on.
whoa, that's messed up. So audience participation reminders for 17.5. What do you think would have been the ideal technique to break the alt-Earth news to the rest of the crew? And then 17.6, which incredibly ambiguously labeled vial would you have taken? I literally hate those those labels, because I feel like as far as Cauldron goes, they can be more specific than that.
Oh, they definitely
for sure. They can be more specific. Like when she's talking to Battery about having a designated power set or whatever, she's like, this one could have to do with fire. But that's not what any of these say. They're very vibes only. I'm not even sure what we're going for.
Definitely vibes-based files.
Vale said, I never found the labels ambiguous. They're exactly spot on to the powers if you already know what they are. Even when you know what the powers are, I still was unable to figure out which label was which.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I did not if you just told me the names and the powers, I wouldn't be able to match them.
Yeah, I think
Prince
only
is Genesis. I don't know how that works. Robin is ballistic. Not sure. Robin's famous for firing bullets at other birds.
I think maybe that's. I think the only one that I would have been able to match up would be Jaunt, because
Jaunt, for
that
sure.
is the only mover-ish one, and he's the only mover-ish thing in the group. So oh man, but we'll get into it. Vale said Jaunt wears interesting hats or teleports. Yeah, Jaunt is also very it's just a trickster. So I wrote some themes for these chapters. Lying for the better good, I guess. That's been kind of a theme throughout this whole thing.
Lying for the supposed greater good. I mean,
yeah.
unclear if there was ever anyway.
Well, it's just that he's I'm finally telling the truth, and then in telling the truth is also lying. I appreciate that. Very very Vic coded. I think accountability is a really big one these chapters, to be honest. There's this whole, now that they know really what the C-Merc is doing, there's this level of accountability and unaccountability, even further than the whole fate and free will thing kind of goes.
Yeah, and there's it is weird and causes this sort of ambiguousness to how much they're accountable for whatever, and I think that's really good because it works both on the reader and on the other characters in the story. Um,
Yeah, it's very frustrating. It's like such a frustrating situation to be in, and I'm glad that they like I don't know that they like are acknowledging it and they're kind of all dealing with it in different ways. Because you kind of I think it's like Cody or somebody who's like, actually, I think it's Luke who's like, so we don't have free will anymore? The answer is yes. Free will no longer exists because anything you do is already fated. So how are you supposed to make any other choices? I don't know. It's like, you know,
yeah,
it's also like a good theme to set Taylor up with in a non-direct way. Like now we're kind of thinking a lot more about free will and like accountability over your actions. And Taylor needs to be thinking about those things more.
I mean, definitely. But
Yeah.
also, I mean, my feelings on the Seamerg and on these sort of predestination powers, etc., are, I think,
Mhm.
complicated up by having read The End of Ward, which, dear Lord, you need to read The End of Ward.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Um, Vale said Trickster got both. So lucky. 2 plus 4 times 5 says I'm at work right now, so I have to pause the stream every time there's a customer, but I'll try to listen when I can. That's fine. And don't worry. You can send messages about things that we're probably no longer talking about, and
Just
we'll just
like,
do our best
sort
to.
of do your best to give context in terms of, like, I think you know what you're doing, but I've seen all too many chatters in other people's streams where they'll say like a sentence that's a response to something, but without the
That
context, the
happens like,
streamer's like,
yeah.
"What?"
I think that honestly, I feel like that's such a skill that a lot of streamers like need to have, but they like don't harness it.
Well, okay, so it's
Or they'll
not
be
so
like,
bad
"What
when
are you
people are
talking
in
about?"
nearly real time. Like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Those people should be better at. But I don't know. I feel like there'll be like someone will respond to something that happened like a minute ago, and it's just too long with the way that most chaotic streams go for someone to.
yeah. True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Do you have any other thoughts on themes?
um, there's like they all keep getting caught up because of the Seamerks thing in their like visions or whatever. So like,
Hmm.
I guess I'm not sure how to phrase it in terms of a theme, but they all keep like drifting off into
Hmm.
other.
Yeah, they're all worked up about their own stuff. Also, I'm gonna pose this theme. Kraus has empathy, which I also did put in his little character sheet. But he's so sweet for a little bit in these chapters.
Mm-hmm.
And I he's just like versus like the last chapters where he's like, fuck Oliver, he's a fucking coward, he doesn't know anything. And then like into these chapters, he's like, I wonder how I can help out my buddy Oliver.
Yeah.
um yeah, and I can only hope that like the latter is more indicative of his more natural state rather than the
Yeah.
former. But I also think that like he's like kind of putting the pedal to the metal and has like set aside some of uh his tricksteriness.
Yeah. I mean, some.
I think some of it, not all of it, but also it's like so targeted on Cody now that he's just like maybe he has like a certain threshold of meanness that he needs to like be able to think and exhibit. And luckily it's all being aimed towards Cody right now.
I get it though.
Yeah, I get it. Cody sucks. Look at this great Cody drawing. It
Well, I don't just mean
it
Cody sucks. I mean, like, sometimes, and I see it happen to you when in proximity of Quinn. You just can't help but let it spill forth.
what? No. Quinn and I are doing. um, I but I do appreciate this Cody drawing. You did like
Thank
literally.
you. I
This was such
really,
a good actor choice too because
I was really happy with it, and I picked the image. I picked the actor a couple weeks ago. I picked out two images.
Hmm.
I sent them both to you, and I went, "Which of these is the better Cody?" And you're like, "The first one will be easier to draw." And then this morning, I was like looking at them, and I was like, "Yes, the second one will be impossible. It's like the lighting of the Kraus picture I did,
Yeah.
except like worse and harder to draw." So I was like,
Yeah.
"Ah." So I went with
Yeah,
this
for sure.
one, much easier perspective.
It's very good. I always, and I think the other one was like a forward facing, and 3/4 is a lot easier.
Oh, it was head
But
on, and it was like it
the
was
lighting is like so dramatic, and
super
he's like so
dramatic,
grimy.
but he looked so perfect for the Cody thing. I kind of wish I had been
Yeah,
up at that
like when
level.
he's like, dude, Cody is so annoying. He's just like literally the worst this chapter. Like two different times he's supposed to be looking for crap, and instead he's just fucking off and like doing terrible things instead. And I'm like, I get you want him to die, I guess. But like in the second one he like also did it to Marissa, which is fucked up.
Yeah.
Um
Well, the second
we can
time,
get into
isn't
the
it that they're
chapter.
supposed to be getting the cars, and he just doesn't?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He goes and gets the car, and then the plan was that once somebody found a car, then they would drive around and find the rest of the people.
Yeah.
And so like he didn't know whether they were in safety or not,
True. True.
or if they were getting killed by monsters. He just left, and like Oliver like seemingly was just with him and like, okay,
Oliver's like, "Aren't we
yeah,
supposed
that's
to be looking for
fine.
cars?"
Yeah, he's like, I thought we were
Shut up,
supposed to and
Oliver.
he's like, shut the fuck up, Oliver. He's like, I'm sorry.
I've got something important to do.
Yeah, and then he like lies, whatever. Okay, so 17.5. Speaking of Cody, he is standing very creepily in the middle of an intersection. So this is like post like they were all getting attacked and shit, and then Kraus gets shunted. And then when he pops out of the thing, he grabs the briefcase and is looking for everybody. So he like is approaching the house, and Cody's just like standing there waiting for him. um and he greets him by telling him he doesn't care that Kraus is hurt. And Kraus is like, were you able to find a doctor? And Cody's like, why don't you care about me? And it's like, literally you just said you don't care about it. So Kraus is like, can we just focus on like me not dying and getting back to the house? And Cody says that the Seamerg is continuously just playing flashbacks about Kraus and like all the times that he screwed him over and stuff. So one of the stories is Kraus like snuck into their gaming room early and fucked with his computer before a match. And so Cody ended up being 2 minutes late. And Kraus was like, it was just a practice match.
Yeah,
um
and then Cody makes what I think are probably good points, but in his mind, Kraus makes the back argument back of like, it made us both more popular by me being
yeah.
evil.
Yeah, he says they like gain viewers, which is like to me, he like fucking went in and he's like, hey everybody, today we're gonna pull a prank on my friend Cody. Like, what do you mean it won you both viewers? You bragged about it to the
Yeah.
um
Well, I think that
yeah,
people, I think it must have been something where yeah, it was public that he pranked him.
yeah.
So,
So public pranking. I am anti pranking.
yeah, I'm
Um
glad because most
I
people I
think
bring up my pranking opinions with will tell me, no, it's fine. And generally, I'm
I
against pranks. There are
I
some, I don't
just
know. I reserve the right to
sometimes they
sometimes
can be
prank.
funny.
We,
It's just that I think you have to like really know like everybody involved in a prank like really well to be able to do it.
Like, I even have a prank
without
lined up,
upsetting
and I
anyone.
haven't been able to pull the trigger on it because I thought maybe it will freak out the person too much. It's that statue,
That
the
that one
statue
is
that
a good one.
it's really good. We have this statue that we know a person who's scared of it and thinks it's like demonic, and then I
Yeah.
stole it, and then they were like, "Oh no, it's gone!"
Oh
But
no, the
thank God
statue
it's
is
gone.
missing something. Yeah, it was like something scary's happening, but I'm so glad that it's gone. And then someday it's gonna appear again. He's gonna lose his shit.
Yeah,
See, I do think that's a funny prank, but you know,
yeah,
this one I do think was kind of probably rude, and it would have been fine with the right person. But so anyways, Cody, oh yeah, so Kraus is like tries to de-escalate for once, and he reminds Cody that the Sea Merg is like doing this all intentionally, like feeding him very specific memories for very specific reasons, and if he gives in, he's letting her win. And Cody says he'd rather that she win than Kraus win, which is like, I feel like the point at which you're like, okay, Cody's just evil.
yeah, yeah.
That's like I know that she's influencing him, but like giving into that is like so insane to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, his spite is strong. That's one thing, but the other thing is like his his personal justification for his own stance is that he wants to do that, but he's not going to fuck them over.
Yeah. He keeps saying that. He keeps saying, I do want Kraus to die and eat shit. But I'm not going to. So he's like, he does say that. So he's like, I'm not actually gonna do anything. He just like keeps starting these conversations like this, and I like am like so unclear what his intentions are, because then he ends it with like, but I'm not gonna do anything.
I think he,
Um,
one, can't help himself, and two, wants to freak out our boy Kraus.
yeah. So he starts to back off, and then Cross is like, okay, cool. But then he starts up again, and I pulled a quote here.
Ah, yes. She makes Marissa freak out. She has Oliver crying when he thinks nobody's looking. Jess has gone crazy paranoid to the point she's barely talking. If it isn't about looking after Noelle. And apparently Luke can't take his mind off the pain, but you're doing fine. Isn't that funny?
Yeah. So Kraus is like, but that's not true. I'm not doing fine. And Cody's like, haha, little loser boy isn't doing fine. So Kraus is like kind of actually freaked out to hear him say all this. He's like, oh no, like everybody's having flashbacks and is not like doing well. So he hurries back to the house. Um, so upon entering, Kraus offers Oliver some positive affirmations. So sweet. And then he heads to Noelle. But she's looking worse than ever. And they all catch up with each other. Um, like on what went down, and Oliver tells Kraus that Cody had gone out to go look for him. Real messed up.
Man, this is great. Thanks, man. We're going to get through this. It should be over soon. Also, yes, I did just turn him into Crispy because in my mind, Trickster is Crispy.
Yeah, that's fine. But like I said,
I
I feel
know he's
like they
American, but
honestly the travelers like do give off British vibes in a way that the Undertakers don't.
yeah.
Um, but luckily, Marissa procured some first aid supplies, and so she begins patching up Kraus. As we remember, he self-stabbed himself on accident, kind of. Um, so he tells them that the heroes are winning the fight, and it's just gonna be another 30 minutes tops. And Cody notes that the briefcase that Kraus brought with us, don't forget he has that, and they hand it over to Jess to take a look at.
You're
He's like,
gonna
I
think this
think
is
Jess will
awesome,
have.
Jess.
Yeah, he's like, you're gonna love this.
I gotta point out, Vale had
Um,
said, pranks that that are like drinking or taking drinks of Vile are cool. you know.
Yeah, pranks where you give somebody strawberry pancakes, but then you actually poured a vial of superpowers into them. Those are fun.
Got him.
Got him.
Make sure to eat the whole
Um,
pancake really fast. Don't eat part of the pancake.
just kind of like roll it into like and
A
like wad
tube,
it up a little bit
like kind of
until it
push it all
becomes
in.
paste. Yeah, yeah. Man, that's how I eat pancakes. So delish.
Delicioso.
Um, so Jess is like silently reading the papers, and then she promptly proclaims, "We need to destroy these." And she tells everybody that what they are, like they're vials of power or whatever. And everyone's really excited. They're like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool!" And Jess tells them to shut up. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand how big the consequences are, and that even if everything was fine, like it could totally just be a trap.
Yeah.
Um,
I think she
two
makes
plus.
a point that they discount it super fast. Well, at least Kraus does. He's like, "Poison?
Mhm.
What are you saying? You're like talking out both sides of your mouth." And it's like, I don't know. All the things she said seem like likely enough possibilities.
I know, like as likely as these being fucking vials of superpower.
Yeah.
Um, okay, 2 plus 4 times 5 says super pancakes. Wait, no, that's later after Ballistic uses his power. Vale said, then no matter what the power is, call them pancake. Sigma says, oops, missed the notification, which is so funny because I was at the beginning saying that Greg is a required listener. Um, let's see. Yeah, she's like, fuck this. We're not taking these. We need to destroy them immediately. Like this is kind of like her number one priority now.
I think
And when Krauss
she's
argues that
basically right, because even if they didn't get the powers, then
somebody else would get
somebody
them and
else
get
would
all
get them,
weird.
and it would like still fit a Seamerg plan probably. But I gotta say, in the vein of Vale, if I had these vials, I'm not just drinking one, I'm drinking two.
Yeah, honestly, it's the
I'm gonna
thing
go
is
ham.
I didn't even ask because we could have asked for this question or
Would
whatever.
you take the vial?
Like,
And then it's
would
just like,
you take the
yes,
vial?
yes.
Of course the answer is yes. There's no other answer. I would not, even knowing literally in the exact same situation, knowing everything they do, even knowing what happens later.
Like the thing is,
Like,
that, like I think to myself, yeah, you just don't take the vials, and then it's like, that's stupid though. They just get caught up in the
that's
DDID stuff, and like,
yeah, like I cannot blame them for the vial. So so like Jess and Krauss are having like this like exchange where they're implying things,
I
and
will
Luke is
say,
like, wait a minute.
I
He like finally catches up. Go ahead.
sorry, just before I forget, I have heard some very diligent sounding people say they wouldn't take the powers, or that even if they lived in this world, they wouldn't want to get powers. And while that's very responsible of them,
That's really great and
I'm not
everything.
responsible like that. uh,
Um,
Fail.
it's just that. Oh, yeah, I'd be done drinking the vial before I the question.
What?
I just
Drink? Don't drink? What?
Yeah, I'm sure. And here's the other thing. They are like 16 and 17 at this point. There's no fucking way.
Yeah. Yeah. You give that to
Um,
16-year-old me, there is 0% chance I'm not drinking it.
yeah, I already drank it before we even heard what it's about.
I didn't
I'm
even
like,
know it had
fuck yeah,
powers in it.
we're doing shots, dude. This is crazy. Um, so Jess and Krause are being suspicious as always, and Luke's like, wait a minute, I remember that time literally earlier when you were whispering to each other, and I didn't really question it. And Crouch just tells Luke to like trust him. He like hinges it basically on their friendship. But Luke is worried that Kraus is pulling some wicked prank on him in these trying times. Um, but he is essentially convinced that they don't want to know right now. We should not be talking about it. Um, Greg says the camera pans back to Vale, and he's got 3 vials sticking out of his mouth. Krause turns to Jess, and he's like, I was just kidding. I don't actually care about the suitcase at all, but we shouldn't destroy it. And Cody goes, powers. Like,
Ah,
just gross. It like gave me
unlimited
the ick.
power.
He just like sits there and he's like, powers. And I like can't not imagine his hands like clenching like a madman. And Krause just tells him to shut the fuck up.
The thing
So
is,
Krause
okay,
and Jess,
it's
go ahead.
always very brief, but when he does say, like, when he does kind of flip out, then Krause is like super immediate with it when he does the shut up here, or when in the other chapter Luke is like, you're being a little extreme. I think it's just like he starts suddenly giving off very bad vibes, like the vibes that Cody gives off all the time. When Krause is yelling or whatever, he's giving off the same vibes. It's like if you watch Hunter x
Yeah.
Hunter, I'd be like, they're both giving off toxic, like terrible Ren. Like,
Well, I
ooh.
mean, anytime somebody like suddenly is like shouts or something, it's like a, I don't know. It's like always like, ooh, I don't like what's happening here. Um, So Krause and Jess barter, and they agree that she'll let them all read the papers, and they can all discuss thoroughly as a group before making any kinds of drastic decisions. And Cody, like an asshole, snatches the papers from Jess's hands,
She can't get up
and
to
he
take them
reads.
back from me.
I know, like that's literally what it feels like. It's like, oh, you can't reach. um So they read that there's 6 different files and there's vague descriptions of each of the powers. They're like very, very, very vague. And they're like the whole briefcase cost like something in the 7
I
digits.
think it's 7 digits
Um,
per power.
that makes more sense. So Jess points out the second page about how they require extensive physical and psychological testing before even selling these to people. And Krause is like, but we can wait until we're more emotionally stable. And obviously Luke's like, you guys are being suspicious. That doesn't make any sense because, earlier you were saying we should keep them for self-defense. So it's like Krause is like, it like seems like Krause is contradicting himself, but he's actually like basing all this off of the fact that they're stuck on an alternate Earth.
Luke can tell that
So
he's one level removed from knowing all the shit, because
yeah.
he's pretty smart.
Yeah. And he's like, it doesn't, so Cody, Krause doesn't really know how to explain himself. But luckily Cody interjects and points out some sick ass news. The vials may offer mild to total recovery of ailment. Oh my gosh. This is great news. So everybody like gangs up on Jess because they're like, well, we should use the powers. And Jess finally tells them the truth, and this is the like third secret that I guess it's not even the third secret. It's because the Seamerk thing. I guess the first Seamerk secret that she told was true. That like she gets in their heads and she makes people start acting crazy, like in the short term.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then
They
and
certainly
then the
are
second,
much crazier now than they will be in a
yeah.
while, but then later, they will become as crazy as they are now or worse. So, I don't know.
Yes, yeah.
It's more like you get a temporary reprieve from this.
Yeah, that's true. Um, so Jess explains the final secret, which is that every time the Seaberg shows up and shows her and sings her song, people and their lives go crazy later on. It's not just a short-term thing. So she gives Mannequin as an example. So like the Seaberg shows up and his wife and kids die
But I
because
gotta say, like,
whatever.
I specifically, like, I had thought, and I think I said this in a previous episode within this arc, but I had thought up until now that, like, Mannequin had lost his mind from, like, just from his family dying, but, like,
Yeah.
because it was the Seamerg, they surely died in some exact perfect way to like super push
To
him
like
into.
make him crazy.
It's like
So
them
it isn't
dying.
even
If they had died in a car crash, then he would have just been like, "Wow, I'm terribly sad, but I'm still a good guy." But like
yeah.
she's probably
Or if
like
they had
super
even
killed them or
died,
something.
I feel like they could have even died in some kind of Cape accident and he like still wouldn't have like gone off the rails in the way that he did.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll
Oh
be
boy.
just 1 second. Hold on.
Yeah, no worries. I'm gonna talk about the art for a second. So I forget if I said the name exactly earlier, but this is based off of Will Poulter, specifically as he appeared in The Maze Runner. I feel like YA dystopia things are almost the perfect thing to pull in characters to like do drawings of because they're all like moody teens, you know? They're like I mean, Worm pretty much is like a YA dystopia like fiction thing. They technically live on the real world right now, but it's clear based on say arc 8 and arc 17 and arcs 12 through 14 that it's all fucked up and they're basically in the maze right.
Yeah, I feel like we don't even like notice until this arc like how fucked up their world is because it's like so normal to them. Like later when they're I don't know, I feel like they're talking about like some of the main differences. You're like, oh, like things are moving in like a very different direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, and like there's stuff that gets said not in these chapters, but in the ones we'll cover next week, where like Kraus has very much taken in the world in the because there's like a time skip. He's taken in the
Hmm.
world in the like portion of time that it's been, like maybe a year or a little less, and he's just like, oh my god, this world's crazy
Yeah,
and bad though.
this one's this one's nasty. Um, Vale had said they died in 2 car crashes. So much worse. Damn Seamer. Uh, yeah. Um, okay, where was I? Yeah, we were talking about Mannequin. He's all fucked up, and now he's like a sadistic serial killer. So her point is that even even when people win the fight against her, which they often do, the heroes often win against her, but the people that she affects are like guided missiles that could go off at any time. I feel like, yeah, that makes sense. And then I pulled a quote here.
So, it's isn't it awfully coincidental that we got in this situation here, trapped within her range, with Kraus going out to find a doctor for Noelle and finding this instead? I know you guys are thinking, this stuff, maybe it can let me walk again, if it works. Maybe we all get superpowers, but the Seamerg sees what's going to happen, probably, and she's not on our side. However she does it, she's already rigged it all like some Rube Goldberg machine. That starts and ends with a mindfuck. Also, I'm not 100% sure on this is me breaking out. Mindfuck was the last word of the quote. I can't tell if the Seamerg can see past trigger events or not because we know from later stuff that other precogs, even if they're really powerful, can't
Hmm.
actually see the contents of a trigger event, and
Hmm.
like the more trigger events that are like beyond a thing, like that's why it gets hazier and hazier, even if you have like an ultra power like Dinah's.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Do you think but she can probably still see the vial, like past the vial triggers,
I,
maybe? Question mark.
I mean maybe maybe she kind of has enough information knowing what's in the vial because it I don't know
Hmm.
because she her precogness is on like a level I would say at or above even Dinah's. But like
Yeah.
she also doesn't have the drawbacks of it.
Yeah, hers is essentially I was thinking like I feel like hers is essentially Dinah's power, but when Dinah is unable to like she has the ability to delve into those specific events and then see how they got there. but her power will like hurt her and prevent her from doing that.
Right, and the
And the
Seamerg
Seamer can
takes
just
some
do it.
time to like tweak the future because the Seamerg, I think, can only see like the exact current future, but the point of the
Hmm.
Scream is that she's like putting in so many inputs, she's just jamming inputs continuously to find new
Yeah,
and new outputs until she finds one she likes.
yeah. She's a real bitch. Like I said, she's the true mega bitch of the story.
She's
I
pretty
don't
good at
appreciate
fighting.
it. Yeah. it's just it's just really mean. This would hurt my feelings. I'm just saying. Um so Luke says that then we don't have free will. He says that then anything we do is under her influence. And Jess is like, yes. So yeah, like the answer is we're screwed. But the main difference is if we take these vials, then any like horrible thing that we do or that happens around us is automatically superpowered now, which is a great explanation. Don't take the powers, guys. Don't be stupid.
Yeah, but like
Yes.
they're gonna take the power. Let's
They're
not be
gonna take the
ridiculous.
powers.
They're gonna take the powers.
Let's Jess throws the briefcase to the ground and the Seamerk song slowly fades away. Oh my gosh. And that's 17.5.
Final chapter thoughts. Another
Oh,
banger. This
so
one's
good.
nothing but good ones.
This one's nothing but good ones. These two chapters, I was like reading them and I was like, everything is perfect. It's just so I just felt like I mean this is it's not even like the climax of the chapter, it's actually kind of the climax of the arc, like of the emotional at least, because it's like all the pieces are in place. They're just kind of putting things like the final things together before Kraus freaks out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but just so good. Kraus is a sweet boy. That chapter specifically, he's all worried about his besties, Jess and Oliver, who, well, he doesn't really dislike Jess, but he was really, really mean to Oliver last chapter. So it's like a real 180 where he's like, oh, poor guy.
Now, is the Seamerg still out there? I forget. When does she?
She, I
Mhm.
believe that she's left
Okay, so that's
because
probably part of
they go
it.
out and they don't notice.
Like
So
he's so much
that's
worse when she's
well, she was
there.
still out there. She was still out there until the very end of this chapter.
Oh, okay, okay, huh?
Yeah, but
Okay.
I think that
Yeah, the
like
Seamerg
part of
song
the
fades
thing
away. Okay, yeah,
I but I do think that like the part of the Seamerg's influence could be focusing Krause's like negative emotions more towards Cody, because I think like as much as like Krause is like so gung ho for Noelle, things would have broken bad too soon if he like went against the entire team. You know what I mean? She like part of it is like for everything to go off terribly, he does need to care about these other people.
Oh my god, I posted. Sorry, I posted my image of or sent. I sent my image of the two drawings
Mm-hmm.
to my friend, and she uh like put a quote, and I was like responding to it as though she was actually saying it, and then she drops an
Oh,
image. It's Will Poulter with the same exact expression on his face saying the quote.
that's really funny. What's the quote?
It's you guys are getting paid. Uh,
Yeah. And that is such a Cody. Oh my god, fucking Cody. 2 + 4 × 5 said things would have broken bad. Better phone Joan theme plays. Let's see. Do you have any other final chapter thoughts? Any other ones?
Hmm. I think this does a great job at solidifying Cody as bad because while he has said dumb stuff in previous chapters, we do
This
have
is really bad.
this is really bad, and we do have all of 17.2 where he is not only keeping it together, but seems like one of the most useful people. So we gotta be careful, not make him too good. That rat bastard.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely like comes off at first like Kraus is deluded about Cody in some way, but I don't know. I just like can't imagine. I I can maybe imagine Luke getting to like a pretty amped up level, but I don't think anyone else in this group would have gone full crazy in the way that Cody is going.
Luke's like sort of, I don't know, good. I'm just gonna like say goodness. You know what I mean. Luke's goodness
Yeah.
sort of gets ground down over the like almost
Over like
year and a
years.
half before, because it's like this is a January of 2000, or no, this is December 2009, and then we are in June of 2011. So it's been a year and a half, and that's when he's going like, I don't believe in anything anymore. Fuck everything, but especially Kraus. I mean Trickster.
Yeah. Yeah. And part of it is because like he like is putting so much faith in his and Kraus's friendship. And like that's if he had sided with Cody, then probably some of this stuff, if not a lot of it, would not have gone the way that it did, you know?
Well, I
And
think it
so
would
it's
have gone different, but not better.
mhm,
Like, I don't even think it
yeah,
necessarily would have gone worse, just different.
just different. Yeah. I mean, Cody, yeah. I'm glad that Cody's not a part of the Travelers in the future. Dude, imagine Taylor. Taylor would have fucking hated Cody.
Yeah, like Cody, like complaining and not working with the group, she'd be like, I'm gonna fucking kill this guy. Trickster's bad enough.
Yeah, she would be like, I feel like she would end up allying with Trickster more because of how much Cody sucks.
Yeah.
She'd be like, well, I understand. Now why Trickster's so annoying. He's probably annoyed by this guy all day.
Trickster's really murderous, but it's probably just spillover from how much he wants to murder Perdition.
Yeah, exactly. It's all Cody's fault. They all said Cody would meet spiders. Yeah. All right. 17.6.
Doing it.
Another banger.
Okay,
Are we
well,
ready?
hang on.
Go ahead.
Boom.
Oh, yes. Let me unpause my stream so I can go see it. Beautiful.
Easy,
Marissa,
breezy,
an icon.
beautiful cover girl.
Easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. Marissa, the icon. The man, the myth, the legend, where Marissa stands now. Because I take back all of the hate that I have sent towards Marissa.
Look,
Okay,
you
I
said
really
she was
do.
a beta right up until you saw her. Then you're like, well, she's awesome. Definitely not a beta.
No, that's not what happened. I took it back last week. Or the week before, I think, actually. Because she kind of does more stuff in 17.2, where she's just like running around and like trying to help bobblehead monster.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a monster
she's
in Gravity Falls that's just like that in the weird Mageddon at the end of the thing.
Yeah.
And it's voiced by Louis C.K. and they like it talks to them and they promptly run away. I think they like smack him in the face or something. He's mostly a face.
That's funny. And he's like, "Give me your dreams,
Yeah.
your memories. I need them."
And there's also a Mother 3 enemy that's like a really powerful psychic that's head has grown too large and it drags the head on the ground behind it. It's really ooh.
I wouldn't be surprised if oh my gosh, what's his name? Alex, whatever. Has a
Hirsch?
red worm. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other like Mother 3 came out before Worm existed, so it's just a common idea to have a dude with a huge head who has to drag it with tiny limbs.
It's just so inherently horrifying, okay?
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so 7:15.6. Kraus and Jess consider telling the others about them being trapped in an alternate Earth, um, while they're cooking up some breakfast for dinner for everyone. So cute.
Brenner.
Best couple, hashtag ship it. Kraus thinks that they should take the idea of the Seamerg out of the question. Out of the decision making process, or they're gonna go crazy, which is kind of, yeah, yeah.
People come to this
Like I
conclusion a lot in parahumans. They're like, look, we just can't try to factor it in because they factored in us trying to factor it in.
Yeah, it's just like you get to a point, and we'll see that later, like when they talked about, oh, but what if these new procedures like cause more backfire? They're like, yeah, that could happen, and it does happen. So, it's like she already knows. You can't really prevent it. You just gotta do your own thing.
Yeah.
So they collectively decide that they're gonna tell them, and Kraus and Jess head back to the living room. But Marissa exclaims, so they have to hurry back. But she was luckily just really excited because the TV is working. Unluckily, the TV is working and they're watching the news, so they have like 0.2 seconds to explain everything. It's a good thing that they had just decided this.
Look. So there's a different president, and
Like, listen, don't look at the screen. They're like, who's this newscaster? Cody's like, I watch Fox News all the time and I don't recognize this guy.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Oh, Vale's heading out for
Kraus,
now. Bye, Vale. See you later.
okay, bye. Kraus like puts himself in front of the TV and then turns off the sound, and everyone's like, fuck you, we hate you, Kraus, boo.
More
But
TV.
he starts telling everybody about how they are actually on Earth Bet. And he lies and he says that Jess was the one who wanted to tell everybody, but that he pushed for keeping it quiet. And Cody gets pissed, kind of fair, but and he jumps Kraus, so he like throws him into the coffee table, and then he starts hitting him and yelling at him and shit. Kraus kicks him off, and then he like tries to act cool about the whole thing. He's like, listen, I deserve that, everything's fine. And Luke defends him a little bit, but he's like also very mad.
I gotta say, this would have been if Jess and Kraus were better at planning stuff like this. And I mean, not that Jess had any say in this, but she should have taken the blame for this if he's going to act as like a leader figure.
Yeah, I think that because of this like sense that Luke, I feel like specifically Luke and Marissa are always like, Kraus is gonna pull something, so they have like this weird feeling about him always, and they just like don't have that about Jess. And so if she had said it,
Yeah, this does not help their situation.
this does not help the situation, and like that's just taking out the Cody. Like Cody's gonna be mad if Kraus does anything. Kraus should just sit and do exactly nothing. But honestly, if Jess was like, Kraus wanted to tell you guys, but I stopped him, Cody would have been like, that's bullshit. I bet it's Kraus's fault. I hate him. And then he would have beat the shit out of him.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so. I like get in the vaguest sense that he was trying to cover for Jess, but like, it's just such a fuck up.
Yeah. So
like
yeah,
a lot of the almost all the stuff in the like this arc, I'm kind of like, I get why you did that. Like it's starting from A, go to B, of course. This is one of those ones where it's kind of just like complete unforced error.
Well, this is the thing. I just think Kraus just has like a bit of a savior thing. And so when he's in a situation where, and like I personally get this. Like I've like put myself in situations where I've taken the blame for something, and if I hadn't done that, it would have turned out better.
Yeah, I
As a
think I've
teenager
probably done that too.
specifically.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, as a teenager specifically, where it's just like I feel, especially being like a little shit. This is like it's like you almost feel like this is the thing that I can do because like of everybody's perspective about me, and he can kind of like it's like aligns with who they see him as already, and so he just like kind of falls on the sword because of I don't know, because it makes sense with like the view they have with him and of his own worldview that like people see him as the enemy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really weird that he can't break out of. I mean, it's not weird that he can't break out of it, but it's really
It's a
counterproductive
weird
that he
thing.
can't fucking break out of it, and it is a weird thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think that if they had more time to discuss, then maybe it would have turned out a little bit better. Like they would have probably just said collectively, we both chose to keep this from you guys. If but they didn't have time to discuss because they had fucking turned on the TV right then. So,
Oh, and right at the
um,
last second before she left, the Seamer used her psychic power to her telekinesis to slightly connect the power line and go whoop.
dude, she would. She's such a bitch. So, Kraus turns the volume back on the TV, and they hear that there's a quarantine processing center at St. Mary's Hospital. So the gang is heading out to find a car. They go. So Kraus and Marissa go together, and then Oliver and
This is just
Oliver and
another
Craig
like
go together.
visual novel date scene where he's like doing better on the date with Marissa than he did on
With
the date with
Marissa.
Noelle.
so, so they go out to find a car, and they are doing very poorly. It like seemingly they're out for probably like more than an hour, maybe a couple hours doing this. Um, so Kraus and Marissa are teamed up on their search, and Kraus asks Marissa what the Seamerg is showing her. And she doesn't really want to answer. And Kraus clarifies, like, he wants to know because he wants a better idea of what the Seamerg is, like, trying to move them towards.
Yeah.
And Marissa tells him that it was what she's being reminded of is in context, a time when she was like finally rebelling against her mom. She was kind of like doing what she wanted, how she wanted to do it. And she figured that she'd go to her dance competition and just like not because she like hasn't been practicing, so she would just kind of place badly. She says I'll get fourth place or something and really piss her off, which is funny because no lower than fourth place.
I definitely know that
But
attitude where it's like, I'll do terrible. I'll get third.
yeah. Uh, so once she's on stage though, she totally freezes up and she starts freaking out and hyperventilating and sweating. And for a second, she thinks that she's pissed herself, and like this makes her have like a meltdown. And I pulled a quote here.
So it's, I felt strong, felt independent for the first time in my life. And then it turns out like that. And she's in the audience, front row. My mom, she's smiling because she thinks it's a victory for her. The rebellious daughter discovering that mom was right about everything after all. You know? That's how she probably saw it. Kraus nodded. That smile? That was what the Seamerg showed me. Except it lingered. Couldn't shake it. Almost as if it was the Seamerg doing it and not my mom.
Pretty fucked up.
But
More
also,
confirmation that her mama is the Seamerg.
yeah, I kept in the last little bit thinking of the Futurama robot Roberto, and he'd be like, um, "She tried to get fourth place, but she failed." One of my favorite quotes is they tried to build a crazy robot, but they failed.
That's funny.
Anyway.
So after that point in her life, things went downhill for Marissa, but Chris and Noelle kind of helped her dig herself out, and she's doing pretty well now. So she says she
Well,
feels
now.
pretty alone, and that without either of them to talk to, she doesn't really have anybody. And Kraus tells her that she can talk to him, and she laughs in his face. So fucked up.
It's a little funny. Um,
It's funny because she laughs, but then she like does continue to talk to him.
I will also say I think he is a good sounding board for people he's sympathetic to. So for specifically not Oliver or Cody, I think he's willing to be nice to Oliver, even in his head, but he is not
Yeah.
going to listen to his problems.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit. I think he's a little bit sexist. Guy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think he
He's
would
like-
also
he's
listen to
like, "I don't
Luke
fucking
because
care
they're
about
like
your problems."
friends.
Yeah,
that's why
that's true.
Luke was on the list with the girls.
Mm-hmm.
As far as that side, but
The gals. So Kraus thinks to himself that the Seamark must be trying to distract Oliver and Marissa, while pinning Cody against Kraus and having Kraus focus on Noelle. And this makes him think that she's trying to affect something short term rather than long term. And he's going to need to verify with Luke what he's been seeing. So Kraus and Marissa finally find a valet station, and they manage to break open a drawer full of car keys. Luckily, they got key fobs, so the cars can beep and they can fucking find them, because that would have been a pain.
yeah, you have to look for like if they didn't have the fob and they had to look for like the specific brand of car, then test the key. Yeah, huge pain in the ass.
Yeah. So he and Marissa grab separate separate cars and keys, and they loop around, kind of drive around to try to find Oliver and Cody, and they like beep 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 like around the streets, but Oliver and Cody are nowhere to be found.
Oh my god.
And Kraus is like, fuck, and then he just like speeds back to the house. And his paranoia is validated when they find another car parked outside their home base. So fucked up. Once again, Cody. He's like, yeah, of course, I'll find you guys. And then just doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So inside, Cody is flipping out because he can't find the suitcase full of powers. And Kraus says that Jess and him destroyed the vials before dinner. And I pulled a quote here.
Oh wait, wrong quote. I was it's you fucker making decisions for the rest of us. Kraus shrugged. Cope.
That's so salty. That honestly, the cope line is so Taylor. She would say that shit. Honestly, I think she might have said that before.
I'm not sure if she said exactly cope. It wouldn't shock me, but she's definitely said stuff very similar. I think she said deal.
Yeah, I think she said deal. That's right. She's like, deal. It's just really savage. So rude. 2 + 4 × 5 says cope. So Cody tries to get Luke to back him up, but Luke is mad at Cody for lying about what he was looking for. And Cody says that he's happy to bite the bullet to get superpowers to just help everybody else out.
Yeah, I'm just doing this to help everybody else out.
And Cody's like, I'll do whatever it takes to get out of this quote unquote fucking dynamic where everybody loves Kraus, even when he pulls shit and lies to them like he did earlier. And Kraus argues for his running theory that the Seamerg wants Cody to hate him and to be trying to antagonize him, and for Kraus to go a little too far. And Kraus is like, it's true. I will go too far. I'm crazy and I'll kill you.
You know what I do think? Actually, I just realized, like, just now, I think the Cody Kraus dynamic, like, tweak that a little bit, and it's almost like the Tristan Byron dynamic. And, like, I feel like he might not have been thinking this at the time, but they're like a more subtle, more nuanced version of this, but they're just tangled up even closer. I also thought,
Yeah.
because what I was thinking it to myself that sort of led me there is, um, Trickster and Perdition's powers, if they liked each other and worked together, would actually be really powerful together because like you can pull Perdition out of a scrape when he has to go back in time or whatever, or you could
Oh
be
yeah.
pulled back in time after you get hit and then teleport out of the way.
Yeah, it's
So
too bad that Perdition sucks so bad.
yeah. But it just reminded me of that too, because it's like that's the dynamic for Tristan and Byron, is their powers are like
Mhm.
very powerful together, but for huge chunks of time when they're parahumans, they like can't work together because they hate each other so much.
True. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, Kraus, I don't know. Kraus just did his classic like super escalation move. Um, so he turns away from the seizing Cody, and the crew all load themselves into the cars. And once they pull out, Cody also gets into his car and follows. So when they arrive at the hospital, there's no staff to greet them. It's just like an intercom AI telling them to calm the fuck down because they're hella understaffed. I get it.
Calm it
um,
down. Wait in the lobby.
Wait in the lobby. There's actually only 6 people on staff, and there's like 20 other people in the waiting room already, so not great. So Kraus tells the others to try to stick as close to reality as possible when people ask questions, but to not mention any specifics. And then here's
We will
the
find out
9/11
later that
quote.
they did mention specifics, and it's sort of like Luke and Marissa both fucked up on that. Maybe it was Jess, but either way, two of them, Luke and someone else, like filled out their real like information onto the forums, and it's like, guys, come on.
They're such followers. They just do what they're told. It's gotta have been Oliver.
I don't think so. I think it's one of the girls. But
Yeah.
anyway, so it was the quote being, uh, and I think is this Jess whispering it to them?
Yeah, this is Jess.
All right, so 9/11 didn't happen here. Endbringers did. They have $1 coins in this America, not bills, and they phased pennies out. There's an installation on the moon, half built and abandoned. I don't know. Stuff is different here.
I get it. The 9/11 didn't happen here makes I don't know. I just like not to laugh at 9/11, but that does just crack me up for some reason.
It's
Do you think
also
they like don't have TSA? They're just like fine.
no, we I don't know if you remember before 9/11. I know that you don't have a lot of experience in that time frame. Before nine
Mhm.
eleven, we still had the like I don't know,
Like normal
airport
amount of
security,
TSA.
but we just
Yeah,
didn't
I
have like a
know,
lot
but
of
like
the shit that we have now. A lot of the
yeah,
pointless
yeah.
stuff that has never successfully caught like the people who test go through. Like that's
Like like what? Like taking off my shoes?
taking off your shoes. That's due to the shoe bomber. That was a year or two after 9/11. I remember it was around Christmas. I can't remember if it was 2003. Let me see. When was the shoe bomber? Oh damn! No, it was the same year, December 22nd, 2001. And I remember
Mm.
somebody said the shoe bomber was successful. Not that he blew anyone up, but that for all time afterward, people had to take off their damn shoes at
People
the
have to take
airport.
off their fucking shoes, yeah.
So
God. I bet they didn't have the shoe bomber in this Earth either. I'm sure they've had hella issues with parahumans on planes.
well, it's also like 9/11 compared to any Endbringer attack is a fucking joke. Because, like,
Yeah.
every Endbringer attack is insane and
Like
kills,
wipes out
like,
the entire city.
yeah.
And there's like it's not all of Japan that's dead, is it? It's just like some of it, or is all Japan dead?
I think what they sunk was just Kyushu, but, Japan, let's see if I can spell this close enough for the internet to know. Yes, I can. In fact, I spelled it correctly. Um, That's awesome. But let's look at a map to show me where Kyushu is. And then zoom out. So it is Oh, that didn't work. It looks like it's just the southernmost region. Am I remembering the right area? Okay, let me see here.
2 plus 4 times 5 says most of Japan got wrecked, but Kyushu was the part that got completely sunk.
Okay, yeah, because it tsunami the fuck out of Kyushu, which probably, like, somewhat tsunami the other places in Japan, and also probably hit all of the surrounding islands. Like, I would guess that these islands down here at the bottom of Japan, Yakushima, I bet Yakushima's gone. Man, what a bummer.
Very sad.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, they don't have anime in this universe either now. It's terrible.
The lost art form that is anime. Well, that's why they need anime-based superheroes to remind people about.
Yeah, to bring us back.
Yeah, yeah.
To pay homage. That's Springer attack. Anyways, 2 plus 4 times 5 said, yeah, Japan isn't super big and Leviathan was there for an entire day or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't turn out great.
They get approached by a nurse for like a quick diagnostic, and he calls for a stretcher to be brought for Noelle. The nurse explains that they're super short-staffed because they all have to go through the quarantine process too, and I assume also the DDID procedures. So as they load up Noelle and take her away, the intercom asks Kraus to come take some packets, and the intercom starts explaining the papers containing the 10-month quarantine procedures. Not that bad. And explains that circumventing the procedure is a criminal charge. And I have a quote here.
2 plus 4 times 5 said, who even decided to keep Leviathan engaged in combat for that long? They must have been a total idiot.
Yeah, what a dumbass.
So it's 10 months, correct. Further, anyone processing out of quarantine is required to accept a tattoo marking their DDID status. Each such individual will be placed on a list, with twice-weekly checkups with quarantine processing agents continuing indefinitely. Attendance at any official or non-official function with more than 10 individuals present requires permission from a quarantine processing agent, a minimum of 48 hours in advance. The individual in charge of the function should be notified of your DDID status upon your arrival. Any employer should be notified of your DDID status at the first opportunity. Anyone selling or renting property to you should be notified of your DDID status at the first opportunity. Financial institutions should... Stop!
Do you think that they also are not allowed to live within 1 mile of all schools and parks?
That's probably true.
I feel like they're just probably completely modeled off of sex offender procedures.
Well, I was gonna say, like, there's an overlap with, like, drug offenses in real life. They have this thing in, like, certain cities or even full states or whatever, where it's like, if you do a drug deal within X amount of distance of a school, then it's like double the time or triple the time or whatever. But then, like...
That sucks because those are the best places to do drug deals too.
Well, no, but it's like, you'll see a city map and literally 100% of the city is covered in, like,
it's next to schools.
Rings because of how the distances work out. And so they're just like, we can just have triple sentences on all offenders. And, you know, my stance on the American prison system is it's just a way to pull slave labor out of the normal population. And it's, the mass incarceration we have in this country is at almost unprecedented levels. And when they look back on our society in the same way that they, like, people think Aztecs and they think of human sacrifices, people will think of our society as the one that caged humans, like the most, like an incredibly fucked up society where they just caged as many people as they could. I really think it's one of the worst things about modern society.
And I do feel like this is a pretty direct, like, oh, this is kind of the way that they're treating these people is pretty fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
And these are bad procedures. 2 + 4 × 5 says one guy on Reddit was charged as a registered sex offender because he was pissing in the bushes of a public park, and he got after he got drunk at a party. Yeah, that's the thing. I wasn't gonna say it, but I'm not. I'm not really pro the sex offender list, the sex offender registry,
Yeah.
because of situations like that. It's just there's absolutely no nuance. They say, "Oh, you peed outside. Okay, you're treated exactly the same as actual registered and people who have faced charges for pedophilia." But whatever. Um,
Well, it's also beyond
so.
that. Like, I don't trust any system like that to catch the majority, whatever, and to not be just used as like a cudgel against people who are more or less innocent. Like, public urination, I do not care about that as a crime. I consider that person innocent. um, like, there's just so many reasons that they can give so that they lock
Mhm.
people up for extra time so that they
Mhm.
can use them more and
And it's
profit off
so
them.
inconsistent. Like two people can commit the exact same crime in exact same situation and come out
Yeah,
totally
like
different.
like
So.
there's that guy, whatever, a few years ago. It was right at the same time as like the Kavanaugh hearing, where it was the older teen or younger 20 something at a college, like, did the R word on somebody behind a dumpster in an alley, and like he was caught doing it, and like people like actively caught him in the act, and it was this public trial, and he got like less than 6 months. I don't think he was put on the registry, like,
Yeah.
but because he's a rich kid, he can just get away with that. And like, I kind of think our system is set up for more or less like anti-justice in this country. um but you know Brock Turner,
Yeah.
that is who I mean. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What
Well.
a piece of
So.
shit.
So Kraus is like, please shut up. But then the intercom asks how he will be paying for Noel's treatment. Uh-oh. We get like the 1-2 punch right here of like the fucked up like criminal justice system, and then the second punch of the fucked up capitalism. um so Kraus asks if like the government can just cover it, and the intercom says of course, but then it might lead to additional delays. And Kraus says, he'll just pay with cash. And the intercom says that at least it's truthful. And it's like clearly a dragon AI, which is why it's truthful.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual reason they require a bank account or credit card is so that they can track them better, and so that they can prevent people from circumventing the whole quarantine process. So he
You know what I just
clarifies
thought
what
of?
happens.
What if
Uh-huh.
what if their bank account getting drained to use the funds was part of the Seamerg's overall plan?
And then they just didn't do it.
Well, they just don't factor that in because they think they're doing the DDID measures to counter her, but she's
Oh,
obviously
yeah, I
using the
see.
DDID measures because, like, in
To
this
make them
instance,
broke.
we can tell that she's using the DDID measures to put the travelers' backs up against a wall. So she's literally
Hmm.
already using it against them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, is like this is exactly what the like Mirrodin and Armsmaster and Dragon were talking about, where they're like, but the DDID procedures are bad, and also they don't actually prevent anything because then she'll just utilize them.
It's just security theater.
And yeah, yeah. Um, and this is like what pushes Kraus to do the bad thing. this
Mm-hmm,
is
mm-hmm.
the this is the nail in the coffin, is that there's no way out, that they're going to be marked forever, and that they're going to be never able to live normal lives, even if they're trapped here forever and they can't do anything. They can't even lead normal lives living here. So he clarifies what happens if he and the patient can't pay, and they can't provide any bank information, and they can't tell them their financial institution. And the intercom says that quarantine processing will halt. So they will never be able to leave. So he goes back to his seat, and he angrily explains the situation to the others. The nurse comes back with the bad news about Noelle, and Krauss leaves to go drink some powers. Hell yeah. So back at the house, he flips through the papers, but the descriptions of the powers are super vague. And he hears his friends pulling up, and so he just quickly chooses the vial labeled Jaunt.
Mm-hmm. He screwed off the top of the canister and withdrew the vial inside. A toast! If I'm screwed, no matter which path I take, then at least I'll go forward with courage. Fuck you, Seamerg! Ah! That was me drinking
Very
the thing.
trickstery.
Ah!
Yeah. And so Marissa and Oliver arrive in the entrance right when Krauss drinks the vial.
He felt a pressure behind him, a matching pressure to his right. He turned to look, to see what was happening, and only saw the flat-screen television and a heavy speaker poised on the edge of the bookshelf. There was a cord as if string stretched between them, vibrating, and the television was suddenly sitting on the bookshelf, the speaker in the midst of the entertainment center. The television fell with a crash, and the remains of the screen danced across the floor. Marissa shrieked. See? He smiled.
Everything's great, Krauss. This is a great thing. So now all he has to do is look at both of the Earths at the same time, and then he can swap them back.
Yeah, that's how it works.
So Krauss, from this point, he drinks the vial, and he's like real fucked up. He's like really loopy after this. Like I think part of it's probably like most of it's probably like adrenaline and stuff. So just know that he's acting like a weird drunk high bastard from now on. So Krauss plays around with his power, and he's like sending shit crashing all over the place and making Marissa freak out. And Cody's obviously livid. Fair. That yet again Krauss will get forgiven by everybody for doing the same shitty thing that Cody was trying to do. But Krauss says it's at least a little different because he's doing it for Noelle, and Cody's just selfish and a bastard. So Cody says Krauss isn't even capable of love.
You're not even capable
And,
of love. I can imagine him
which is
saying it in
crazy.
that like voice that the person uses for Noelle when she's losing it.
And Krauss swaps the two of them in retaliation. And this is when he realizes his stabbed hand has been healed by the powers. Great news for everybody here. So he swaps the briefcase into his hand and goes to leave. And as he leaves, he swaps the cars around so that Marissa's car is like blocked by another car from leaving. Pretty fucked up. So when he arrives at the hospital, Noelle is finally awake, and they can literally she's been conscious during this arc for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it was 17.1, and then she's been out since then, right?
Yeah.
Or no?
Yeah, that's
Let me see.
They get knocked out. She gets knocked out right at the end of 17.1, as far as I remember.
Gotcha. Cool.
So she's pretty distressed about the possibility of dying in her next surgery. She's already been under and is going to go under again. And even if she doesn't die, she's going to have a shit bag attached to her for the rest of her life. And he tells her he wouldn't care anyways about her shit bag and her scars. He actually doesn't say the shit bag. He's like, I wouldn't care about the scars.
Yeah.
And if I was Noelle, I would never forget that. He didn't say the shit bag. But none of that matters because he has a solution. So he offers her the vial, and she's like, fuck that. I heard all the things you guys were talking about when I was asleep. Like, it sounded pretty bad. And there's 7 people, but only 6 vials, and that's like not really fair to anybody. So Krauss just pours half of the vial into a separate cup, and he offers it to her. And she's still a little bit resistant, but he tells her that if anything bad happens, she can just blame him.
Perfect.
And she drinks her half of the vial. And that's the end of the chapter.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
it's another good one. Boy, I mean, the half vial thing, they come up with the worst plan.
Yeah. He, like I said, he's like drunk right now, basically. He's like all kinds of messed up. I don't really, I think it's like it's probably some of it is like the power, like the residual from the trigger event, and then like all the adrenaline and the fact that like things had so quickly become so hopeless, like even in comparison to where they were at. So I don't know. And I was like,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I'm glad that this isn't like a weird manipulative situation. Like she says at the beginning, she's like, "Yeah, I could hear you guys like most of the time, and so I know what's going on." Um, but I just like got stressed when I was reading it, and I was like, "Oh no, like does he not like clarify things with her?" But then he does, so it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. It's fine.
It's fine. Banger of a chapter. Love to see it. We finally get Kraus and Noelle back together the way they should be. They're both happy, healthy, cured. They're gonna have superpowers together, which is so cute. Very
You
exciting. That
such a
was
power
such a great end.
couple.
That was such a great end to the arc.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Wow.
love it.
Love
That's
how
so
it
funny.
happily ever after at this point, right?
Yeah, and then they kiss, and then he kisses her shitbag. Wait, no, she doesn't have that.
Oh
Um,
my god.
I am going to pull out one thing that threw
Yes.
me off
Yes.
because we had like decided, we had
Mm.
made a decision about what Kraus thinks. and then he fucking ruined it this chapter.
Oh wait. Go on.
He says,
Hmm.
let me find it. Okay.
Hmm.
Noel says, and even if I live, I'm gonna be ugly. Nice big plastic plug in my belly with a bag of shit attached, which is really ironic. You don't even know. ... She trailed off. I sort of figured it out, he said.
He says that, but did he
But
though?
but but our theory, okay, and that's the thing is my theory was based in the flashback. And so he could have figured things out since then. But I can only hope that it's been more recent because he has not been being like the most supportive, I feel, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I just was like, wait a minute, fuck this. He had
Yeah.
figured it out.
Hmm. Hmm. Well,
Also, he
I don't
probably.
know. I don't know if he really figured it out. I think he's like, I sort of figured it out. I
He's like,
didn't
I figured
really
it
though.
out. She doesn't want to be ugly. Which is he's like, man, come on, guys. She's damaged. She has a phobia of being ugly. Like, I just don't know what he thinks. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know. Do you
It's like
you
really
agree?
hard to
Do
tell.
you
It's
agree
so
that he
ambiguous
didn't
to me.
figure it out?
I think he didn't
Even
figure it
at
out.
this point, do you think he knows at this point though at all?
Hard to say. I don't think so though. I don't know.
I
It
don't think so. I just feel like he would think about it at all. Because, like, okay, she's been unconscious this whole time. Like, don't you think he'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm like so worried about Noelle because she threw up and then she hasn't eaten anything since. Like, she might die.
like I know he was trying to keep it vague when he was writing it, but like the fact that Trickster never thinks about it like once.
He never thinks about it, but that's what
And I
makes me
know that there's
nervous
like
because
think
I'm like,
avoiding, like literally
maybe
Taylor will do
he's
think avoiding, but I think that this is it, I I am convinced that he thinks he knows what it is, but since we never hear out of his mouth, I don't believe that. Like I don't know, it just seems
yeah.
so vague,
He
and
like
he's like,
can't admit. It's so vague
I
and
do think that he
I
can't
feel like
admit
it
that he didn't figure it out.
okay. That's better because the other option is that he figured it out and he's been being a shitty boyfriend because he hasn't thought about it once. And it's like something you would be thinking about in this situation, especially like I don't know, like with the damage to her stomach, like part of that is going to be influenced by the bulimia because her stomach lining is going to be super fucked.
We totally
There's
are, Alien Cat Daddy. You are correct.
a
And hello.
hello. We're talking about Noelle having an eating disorder, right? Yes, we're talking about. It's like
I'm convinced
I
that
don't
Kraus
want to.
didn't figure it out. I don't know why, but I'm convinced.
I'm not convinced, but I am glad that you're convinced because the alternative is that he sucks so much worse than I feel like I feel like the direct evidence show.
Nah. This is
Because
that thing where like he
he's
can't admit to himself that he didn't figure it out. The more
okay.
we talk, the
Okay.
more certain I become.
He's like, yeah, I figured it out. You don't like you're insecure about your stomach. That's what he figured out. He's just such an idiot.
Yep.
2 plus 4 times 5 said, I wasn't looking at chat, so I just heard you say, yes, thank you, Alien Cat Daddy, and I got very confused.
Well,
Um,
one of our, I believe it's been quite a while, but I do recognize this name. I believe it's a former chatter who is back.
mhm.
So,
An ex-former chatter, as
ex-former
you call
chatter.
them.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about characters. I want to talk about. Speaking of Kraus being a bad person, I want to talk about Kraus being a great person in these chapters. I, I pulled some quotes here of Kraus having empathy.
Do you want me
Okay,
to read them or?
you can read them.
Okay. Kraus quickened his pace. He didn't like the idea that the others were doing that poorly. And then, sick about Oliver, was there a way to fix that? To support the guy? They were scared people in a strange place. Kraus felt damp in his own eyes, more for Jess than himself, odd as it was. He was worried he'd fuck it up, and Jess was good people. She didn't deserve a fucked up attempt at reassurance. I gotta say, that is him being incredibly dumb. He's very dumb right there. He should have
No,
tried
but
to
then
reassure Jess. He
but then
maybe
he does. He tries to make her feel better. I think it. I don't know if it's right before or right after this, but he like makes a joke and then he says, "At least Jess isn't crying anymore." And it's like, I don't know. I just feel like he's like emotionally hurting these chapters because everyone's doing so bad. Um, and then he gives a he does give Oliver that little pep talk. That was sweet.
and it was really good. Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously like he like reaches out to Marissa more because he talks to her to figure out what's going on with the sea merc and then he's like I have an idea of what's going on with the sea merc and then he continues to ask her questions about like what happened and stuff. And that seemed like that was unrelated to the sea merc situation.
Yeah.
He was just like talking to her. So I don't know. I think he can I think he can be a good friend when he's not like literally the exact worst version of himself.
Yeah, I mean, weirdly, I do think we see him being a good guy more than we see him doing any of the like stuff they talk about from his past, like pranks or whatever. And like he lies a couple times, and in two instances, I think he does stuff that's really socially dumb, like the thing with
Mm-hmm.
Jess, plus the that we just talked about, plus the time that he lies to say it was me who covered up the fact that we're in Earth Bet. Like both of those
Yeah.
things are just like, what are you doing? But everything else,
Yeah.
like he's a pretty good guy, and even in those cases, he's literally trying to be good.
I wouldn't be trying to defend Kraus so much if I didn't like know that everyone hates him.
Yeah. It's like weird how
Because you
much
can
that people
hate
reading
him as a
this hate
character or
him.
whatever,
Yeah,
but it's like you can't just think that he's like baseline like a horrible person like comparatively to all these other people that do way more fucked up stuff. And I don't know. I think that some people just like take what Cody said. I don't know. Are they taking what Cody says at face value? Because like I just don't trust Cody because of the fact that I feel like we've seen him be like wrong and stupid.
Yeah.
Like saying such extreme things like you're not capable of love.
Yeah. That's a pretty big
It's like a pretty like
assertion.
sweeping
Yeah, like a
sweeping
big thing to say.
accusation that is like not true for 99.99999% of people in the world. So it's like now I don't trust you at all because you obviously don't understand how people work.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing is like for why people hate him, I think that there's probably some like probably a lot of the audience for this book are like nerds or whatever because they're reading an online web
Hmm.
serial, and we're nerds. Um,
Hmm.
whatever.
Wait a
Um,
minute.
um, but we're people who like anime. We're anime watchers. Um, so given that, I think a lot of the people reading this probably could have like that Kraus is too close to how I used to act kind of thing. Um,
Yeah, that was basically what like Scott and Matt and We've Got Worm had been saying, where they're
yeah,
like,
and
"Oh my
I
God,
more or
like
less
this
agree
is
with them that probably a lot of people have a knee jerk reaction of like this is the word, or they knew somebody like this. I
yeah,
know people like this,
yeah,
so
um, yeah."
you want to grab the chat real quick?
Oh yeah, Alien Cat Daddy said his battle IQ is way higher than his normal IQ. Phil said, "Hold up, who's nerds now?" Yeah.
I don't know.
um,
All I'm saying is that someone named Vale in this audience has read Star Wars books. No other accusations.
Embarrassing. Ugh. Krause's chapter is also we talked about it a little bit, but taking the hard stance that he will take the blame for anyone. He's going to take the blame for Jess. He's going to take the blame for on Noelle's behalf. Um, it's he doesn't. It would be like more because he's like, if anything bad happens, you can blame it on me. I don't think he understands the scope of how big that is. But you know what? Noelle takes his advice and does blame everything on him.
Nice.
I think we've already seen the scene. I think it's in Dinah's chapter where she's like, "You did this to me, crap,"
Yeah,
and we're
yeah.
like, "Ah." Yeah, like he kind of did. Also, she did take the vial,
She
so
did
I
take
don't
the
know.
vial, but like he specifically was like, look, you can offload all the blame onto me, and then guess what? She does.
Also, also, her options were to take the vial or to be faced with what is in this moment, especially because of the Seamerg, one of the worst case scenarios for her, with having the what are they actually called? The shit bags. I
Colostomy
feel like
bag.
it's rude to call them that. Yeah, to have the colonoscopy bag. I also
Colostomy
like
bag.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I also wanted to say that, like, I don't know if this is something that she would consider, but recovery could have taken a big turn for the worse, not only because of having new body image issues, but she would have direct control over her intake outtake. And that could have been a huge problem.
Yeah. I didn't even think about it, but like if she was more in control in a direct sense, it might be even worse for her disorder.
Yeah, I think that it would have made things like really, really difficult for her to continue recovering. Like take out this like whole situation that they're in, like take out the possibility of superpowers, the fact that they're on an alternate Earth. Like if she was just plopped back into her normal life with this new situation, there's absolutely no way that she would keep on a good trajectory because of how big of a change it is so quickly, a huge hit to her self-esteem, and exasperating her body image issues, and then being in so much control over the intake outtake. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, and I feel like I don't know if that's like something that Wildbow is like specifically implying because like yeah, then the option of risking it all like does seem a lot more viable.
I think what I want to ruminate on is what would Noelle's power have been like if she had taken the whole thing?
Well,
And
she would have been more hot just like Oliver.
just like Oliver, I think
I
the balancing mixture gave Oliver that power to slightly change or whatever, but I think it would have just made Noelle's power be on like a normal tier or at least down at the level of like ballistic rather than ridiculous. Um,
Yeah, what is can you pull up what the actual vial she takes is, or we can just read through them. We've got Deuce, Jaunt, it wasn't
Deus.
Jaunt, it wasn't Prince,
Yeah.
Vestige, Division, and Robin.
Deus. Let's see here. Um,
And then we can
let's
kind of
see
go from there.
here. Maybe I can just go to the part where she drinks it and see if they say right there.
Vale said she would have made clones that didn't have defects, but she'd still needed to eat 100 pounds of meat a day. It was better for everyone, whatever.
Alien Cat Daddy also said the vial thing is crazy. He puts half of it in like a styrofoam cup. Yeah, what if part of it got absorbed into the styrofoam and nobody got it?
Well, I thought about that. I wouldn't have put it in a cup either. I would have just drank half of it.
Yeah, just like
But
do a
you
half
know
shot
what?
or whatever.
You know what else I would have done? I would have shook it because I always shake my drinks. If
Well,
I
they're
can't,
supposed to be. They're not supposed to
this.
be settled, if I'm remembering right from one of the other ones. I think they're supposed to be mixed up right before you
Yeah,
use them.
but it doesn't matter because you're gonna take it as a shot anyways. But William can attest to if I have a carbonated drink, so I am unable to shake it, I will put it upside down so that it is more mixed up because I just like hate the idea that it's not gonna be mixed. I
Yeah.
simply would have not been in this situation, Noelle.
Oh my god. I just remembered that one time when you set down the drink upside down and then Kason's idea was, oh, I can mix it faster if I do shake it. So he just picked it up and shook it up.
Yeah, he picked it up and shook it, and then we had to open it outside.
He was so mad.
Because
funny,
I haven't wanted to accuse anybody of this at this time, but Kason is very cross-like. So.
I mean, I didn't want to accuse anybody of it either, but I can see the parallels.
I know.
It's not like I don't know.
I have to wait until I make sure I'm in a safe space with the audience.
Yeah.
Alien Cat Daddy said, oh, sorry, Vale said, Taylor would shake it also. She doesn't like the bitter sediment at the bottom of her cup.
Mm-hmm.
Alien Cat Daddy said, he doesn't assume that people who made the vials made the proportions intentionally. It's like the most short-sighted decision in the entire story.
Yeah, you're right.
He just doesn't think. It's like, that's it. He just doesn't think about it.
Yeah.
He's just trying to convince her, and he does convince her. Were you able to find which file she takes?
Not yet. I was gonna ask, can you vamp for a minute so that I can use the restroom? Can you? I will find what it is.
I suppose I can.
And I'm not gonna mute for you, but I'm gonna mute for myself to the audience. Goodbye for now.
Okay, that sounds good. So I wish I had pulled more quotes of Krauss having empathy so that I could prove my point that he's a great person. But yeah, I don't think I would have taken half a vial either. Because, well, first of all, my first assumption would be that I was getting half of a power, which fuck that. But I know Noelle doesn't really want powers. Like, she's only doing this to heal. Vale said, "Ew, tell him to mute for you also." When he goes to the bathroom. Sheesh. He doesn't bring it with him, but honestly, I feel like my friends will be gross like that. I was talking to my friends who are a couple, and she had said he was making fun of her because they said that when they're like talking on the phone or talking on Discord or whatever, she'll take the headset to the bathroom with her. She'll mute it on her side, but he keeps talking to her. And then sometimes she'll unmute and she'll be like, "Hey, can you stop talking for a second? I need to focus." Which, like, none of this was to be like, yeah, we're really weird and we take each other to the bathroom with us or whatever. It was all to say that it was weird that she had to, like, have him stop talking so she could focus. I kind of agree. I feel like sometimes you gotta
I have
hunker
returned.
down. Welcome back. Vale said, "Aw,
Listen,
6 months plus relationship goals." I no, I was when you left, I was making fun of Emily and Matt for some shit that they had said about like doing phone calls in the bathroom.
oh, well, see, Vale, I'm not in the bathroom. I knew I was gonna like
You just
slam the door and stuff, and I didn't want Victoria to think, wow, he's just like fucking slamming doors and yelling at his brother.
That's funny. No, I didn't hear anything this time. But
Nice.
sometimes I can hear you talking to people and stuff when you don't mute. Um Hold on.
Yeah, that's worse. I was
What else to say
not.
about Kraus? Where it's not in the bathroom was.
I think we may have not read it, but Vale did make a joke earlier when we were talking about making fun of the Star Wars book, saying, I also say pew 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 whenever there are cool laser fights in the books. So let's see here. Were we still saying stuff about
I guess
Kraus?
we can talk.
About Cody?
I mean, we can. I was gonna say we can talk about his new power, but the power is not new to us. This is the first time we see it.
From his
So
perspective, yes. And
from his perspective, he can just kind of feel what's interesting in that I hadn't realized is that he can feel anything in his vicinity, but he can only swap it when he is looking at them. But that does probably help a lot in fights that he can feel where everything is.
yeah,
He's got
because
like a little bit of Taylor,
well,
a little
that's
bit
the
of
thing.
Taylor
There's a lot
power.
of people who have that like little bit of Taylor. Like we'll see later in the story, Golem will like actively feel like multiple materials that when he's touching them, his power lets him like feel all of that
Hmm.
material in the area. So he makes like a mental
Hmm.
map as he like touches different stuff, and
Yeah, I think Parian has that similar to,
so you can feel anytime
because
something like touches her strings, basically.
yeah, yeah, um, yeah, it's just interesting. So he probably has like part of that could be why he's like pretty good in a fight. He can kind of like feel everything that's going on. You can see like the thing that he's doing when he's swapping things that have disproportionate mass. The reason it takes longer isn't like the power charging up, it's him gathering more mass into the thing he's swapping, which is pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
We'll see it more next chapter as well, but I really like the details of how it like he has to grapple with figuring out like a good way to use the power. I'm gonna switch back to the Cody pick for a while because I
Hmm.
think he deserves a little more
Yeah,
on screen
Marissa's
time.
got too much FaceTime.
Yeah. Um.
um Alien Cat said that, yeah, all the secondary abilities are super interesting. Yeah, I was like, and it's like interesting the people who will just not use it. They like won't.
Well, I think that's
They
one
like
of the
won't
differences
prioritize them.
between a good and like an effective and a
And a
non-effective parahuman
subpar. Yeah.
is um does Cody deserve a little more? Does he really? 2 + 4 × 5. It's
No.
not Cody. It's my drawing that deserves a little more time.
Yeah, it's the
I s-
it's the Will whatever.
Will Poulter. I mean, the fact that I sent this to somebody and they could immediately tell who it was supposed to be and sent me a quote from a different movie he's in I was very impressed with them. And I was happy with my art.
Yeah, it does look like him. Um, it's so funny. Wait, you guys are getting paid? Um, I think that's all I have to say about Kraus. He was nice this chapter. He made the worst decisions of all. It's okay though, because I would have done something similar.
Yeah.
Only difference is I would have fucking shook the vial first.
Um. Uh. I wanted to ask one thing to Alien Cat Daddy. I was sort of remembering, are you someone I met through David, or are you just an online person who I don't know in real life? Because I feel like I
Mm.
do remember, maybe I'm misremembering, but someone I met through David has been to a couple of the streams and I think was planning to read the book, so I guess is maybe caught up now.
Mhm.
Or maybe has read the whole thing. If not, I'm just totally misplacing who that was.
Yeah.
But
What do you want to say about Cody?
Cody, well, he starts with a slightly relatable like story of being of having Kraus messing with him all the time, and he's kind of in like a Byron-ish position. But then he just turns into the
So
worst.
offensive to Byron, honestly.
No, no, no. Well, listen. This is a pro Byron stream. I'm not a hater like some
Are there
other
Byron
podcasters.
haters?
There are people
Who?
who hear the Byron interlude and are basically just like totally turned against him and can't understand his perspective at
Oh,
all. But I gotta say,
because he dates a homophobe or something else.
mm, well, it's not that. It's his explanation of his grievances with Tristan at the time when they're fighting before they have powers.
Oh my God. Okay, fine.
So they don't
Triggers me.
find this to be a
If it's
convincing
Scott from,
argument. It is indeed.
it's actually Scott, dude. I don't know why Scott is my mortal enemy.
I know. I knew you could tell right away when I started describing this. You're like,
Well, it's just that you didn't say it, so I was like, it must be somebody that I don't know because
no.
like,
Well, I was trying to
and
not
I
say
wouldn't
it so
have
that we're.
imagined.
And listen, we love Scott on this podcast, except that
Listen,
Scott is
actually, I might be
Victoria's
changing my
enemy.
mind. I might be changing my mind. Most of the time, I'm joking. Most of the time, I'm joking. But honestly, I just can't imagine because it's like you don't have to. Here's the thing: you don't have to hate Tristan to like be also on Byron's side. You know what I mean? You don't have to think that Tristan is like evil or whatever to be on Byron. Okay,
That's why
I'm
I
getting
think. Well,
derailed. This is
but okay. Again, that's why I said earlier in the stream that I think that the Cody Kraus dynamic, or Kraus Cody, really, to make it fit better, the Kraus Cody and the
Mhm.
Tristan Byron dynamic are like similar. It's like he wanted a redo. He wanted a more nuanced go back. And I'm not saying that
Yeah,
he was unhappy with this because I think the Kraus Cody dynamic is incredible. I think that their storyline's great, but I just think having a
yeah,
more nuanced, more like both sides were less in the wrong,
yeah.
or
That's
maybe
the
they're
thing.
both
That's the
more
thing
in the
about.
wrong. It's just more balanced.
It's just more. Yeah, that's the thing about Cody is that his grievances are like justified. And like whenever he's like airing them, I'm like, yeah. But then he turns around and he's like, and Kraus is incapable of love, and he's only dating Noelle so that he can be on our video game team. But also, but then also, I think that he would kill all of us just to save Noelle. And it's like you obviously don't know what you're talking about at all, because he like can't even follow a through line. Like the fact that he earlier said he's only dating Noelle to do X or whatever to like get this position of power. But then also he says you would screw us all over for Noelle. Then which the fuck one is it?
Well,
Because
but the thing
they
is,
can't
yeah,
both be
he
true.
he doesn't really. It's just he has like the most negative feelings toward Kraus. It's not that he has a consistent story. I think it's like a common type of thinking. So I can't exactly put it into words, but the way he's like reasoning through this problem makes sense to me. Where it's like if you just take the idea that he's like if he's it's like if Tattletale was saying, I'm going off of the basis that this person's good. It's like he's just going off the basis that this person's bad. So he'll find any
Hmm.
root cause for or any like conclusion that yeah.
Yeah. Um,
To address the
Alien
chat
Cat.
real quick. Yeah, I wasn't
Yeah, Alien Cat
misremembering.
said, "You're misremembering. I just like hearing people talk about the story. Got my friend to read it a couple months ago. He's about to hit arc 30. Oh shit, did I just walk into word spoilers? Okay, no, they were not spoilers. That was more we've got word spoilers than actual word spoilers.
Yeah,
And then some, yeah.
we did spoil a moment in the other podcast, a surprise turn of events where character gets some
where
character
where
assassination.
one person doesn't like one character.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm gonna start listening to We've Got Ward just so I can get mad at Scott about that.
Okay, okay.
Um,
And I hope that it
we'll
will
see if I change my
inspire
mind.
you to listen to
Listen,
Ward cuz you've been at the start of arc 13 for like 6 months.
yeah, probably longer. Um, Cody sucks. I just hate him. It's like it doesn't matter how like justified he is because he acts bad.
Yeah.
It, like just because he has like accurate opinions of Krause's of like Krause's like negative traits and stuff does not mean that he is justified in being a psycho all the time. Like anybody, you can say bad things about anybody, but that doesn't mean that it's okay for you to like let them get eaten by monsters instead of going and helping them
Yeah, yeah.
or like just continuously hounding them about all the like things that have ever happened between you guys when you're in like a really fucking time sensitive situation. I don't know. It's just he's so illogical, and I think the vibe is just that of somebody who's like so driven by their emotions and by their anger,
Yeah, I was about to
and
say
that
like
they think that
everybody
they're
runs
not.
off of emotions, but he's convinced himself that he's not doing that, which makes him do it harder. Yeah.
It's like
Also,
interesting contrast to Kraus too, because
mhm.
like the way Kraus talks, he's like very obviously utilizes like logic a lot. Like that's what he's trying to do when he's arguing his point. He's never arguing from a feelings stance.
Mhm.
Um, but at no point do I feel like Kraus thinks that he's not being driven by his emotions. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
I was gonna say, uh, let's see. I found a spot on 17.7 with the names of the remaining vials. So there was Prince, which we know went to Division. Half of Division is what she drank. Okay, there we go.
of course, you took half a division. They divided division.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's think. Division. So division could be sticking people against.
I can imagine
Like
so many different
she's
versions
dividing
of
the
it.
ranks.
Like one I could think of like Mockument, where you haven't seen his power, but he can basically like wholesale copy a person and just have like a shitty clone with a shitty version of their power, and it's kind of based on how they see the worst version of themselves. Um,
Mhm.
and then it could also be like Satyr, who can sort of copy himself into multiple locations and like take on the features of other people. Like I could see this power, like because the vials, I feel like go like they kind of have a kernel of whatever, and they can go in tons of different directions.
Mhm.
So, um, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of how I've always it's always seemed. And the division, if we notice, is aside from Deus, division has the highest mixture and the least balance. And we know from later
Yeah.
stuff, like kind of like the kind of spoilers I don't care about. We know from later stuff that more balanced formula um like settles to the bottom too. So it's like not only is it
Hmm.
settled, but it's lower percent to begin with. So she's
Hmm.
getting like very, very little balance, if any. Um,
Yeah, I honestly would have guessed it was the other. I would have guessed that it was the F canister that has 60% mixture and then 40% balance because I would think that it was like the most dangerous out of them, you know what I mean? Um,
well, I think the way that I've interpreted it is that the balance is like toning it down to keep people from to like mitigate the risks of becoming a case 53 or of just straight up dying. Um, and so like the least we see is 15% balance in two of the formulas. Um,
mhm.
I also forgot that like not only is it the Prince canister, but it's also got part of Aegis, which is like a different thing, and also, a cape name?
Interesting.
Yeah. But
Um,
Alien
Alien,
Cat Daddy had said that they're reading Practical Guide to Evil, which I believe is a story that Greg has pitched to me before, um, that I have not even started. And
yeah,
then
and then he posted some Kraus slander.
yeah, in the end, Cody's right. Kraus would kill all of them to protect Noel. Um,
I don't think at this point that that's true. Like, obviously, things go downhill, but like at this point in the book, let's say even right now, let's say zero Seamerg effect. No, I don't know.
the other thing I would say about the Kraus Noel Cody dynamic is that a lot of times you don't need him to be in the head state where he would betray them all for her all the time. He only needs to feel like that very briefly at exactly the right moment.
Yeah,
So I
which is
don't think
basically
that
what
that's
he
his
says.
resting state. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like something that he is can be pushed towards
Mm-hmm.
in the same way that Cody can be pushed towards being the worst person who's ever existed.
Yeah, yeah.
He's just so annoying. I don't think I have anything else to say about Cody. He's annoying. He lies to people all the time. I guess that's the thing is he's like, but Kraus lied to you guys too, and so it's different when I do it, or like why is it different when he does it or whatever. And Luke is like, Kraus had better reasons, and also he just didn't tell us something. He wasn't straight up lying to our faces like you were, because Cody's lie that he thinks he should get some more sympathy for is that he was looking for a stretcher for Noel, but what he was looking for was the vial.
Yeah, yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah, what a goofball. Let's talk about Noel.
Real quick, I hadn't noticed before, but because I wasn't reading it with my eyeballs, I was mostly listening to this. But uh, the balance mixture is all C0072, and I'm pretty sure like the like F1611, like all of those are like coordinates from like where they mined out the juice.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Um, so the only one that's close to the balance formula at all is Prince in the same C region.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and then, but about Noel, I feel like you should talk about Noel since you have much stronger overall feelings about Noel.
Noel is a legend, an icon. Um,
Not Noel
drinks
on screen,
superpowers.
Marissa.
Drinks superpowers so that she doesn't have a shit bag, which is relatable. Um, I don't know. I mean, obviously she doesn't do a lot this chapter. She's like sad. She's been conscious, like somewhat conscious most of the time. I assume just like going in and out of like Seamerg visions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like I said earlier, I do feel like it's like there's even more subtext that than than you might think, with the fact that like things could be getting really out of hand for her in her life. Like even if things go well, even if everything goes well with the surgery, even if they go back and everything goes back to normal, she's not going to be doing well. Yeah. So let's see. Vale said, I wish Regent and Imp were part of Cauldron from the start. The names would be so much more fun. Imp would get more and more annoyed, though, as Contessa keeps asking path to a funnier name than the one Imp came up with.
Yeah, yeah.
um, I mean, there will be a lot more Noelle in the next couple of chapters, but
Especially, she'll have her own
Kraus,
chapter later, which is very good.
yeah, Kraus says a couple things about her and their relationship. He basically says like the reason the reason he's like going to push so hard to save her is because he doesn't think that anyone else can love him, which is really sad.
It is really
um
sad, especially since, I mean, as soon as he starts acting like more responsible during this arc, then people like, wow, you're really stepping up.
yeah, like I people have been like really tentative towards him because they keep thinking that he's gonna be like Paul. I don't know what they think he's gonna do, because it's like so weird, because they've obviously
That's
never
one
been in this
thing.
tense of a situation with him before.
That's one thing that like I both think it does work and it could come off clunky. That's kind of how you read it, but I like how ambiguous it is to whatever he did before, because
Hmm.
like he doesn't really do any of that stuff they say. Like we only really hear about like one prank and then he cuts off another story, but it leaves it so open-ended.
And,
Um
and even beyond the pranks, like Marissa and Cody have both said like he is like basically like actively malicious and trying to make people look bad. And I don't know, we like just haven't seen that, and like we don't get any examples of that except the prank um that he does towards Cody, which is like, yeah, it made him look bad, but like everybody was there. It's not like he's tricking them into thinking that Cody sucks and is irresponsible. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's
It like
weird.
makes him look bad because he was late to the game, but then he was like, obviously he was like, I'm late to the game because Kraus fucked with me, and then the fans were like, ha ha ha. Ha ha ha, so funny. We love this dynamic.
We love it.
Um, we love it. They're so goofy, and we love pranks. But yeah, I just like thinking that like whatever Kraus has done in the past is so extreme, or they think it's so bad that they keep thinking he's going to be doing more bad things here. And they seemingly don't think that the reason Kraus is doing the things that he does is for fun. Like they think there's some ulterior motive, because there's no other reason he would be trying to have fun here. So the motive being that he wants to look good or something, which it's
Yeah.
like, I do think that he does things mostly for fun. That's how it comes. Like he likes the feeling of like irritating people and stuff, and he thinks it's fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree.
So I don't know. I don't know. I wish like we had some more context, because it is like just so strange that they're like walking around in this super serious situation, and
Mm-hmm.
then he'll say
Mm-hmm.
something and they'll be like, typical Kraus is trying to prank us all again.
Yeah, I just it, it doesn't strike me at any point that he's like doing a bit, I guess. He does lie a
I
few
just
times, but he's never
yeah,
like
yeah.
he's not doing jokes.
I can think of very few people in that I know in my life, including people that I dislike, that I would be in a really dangerous situation with and then think they're going to fuck with me. And by
Yeah.
very few people, I mean one person, and it's the one evil person that we know that we no longer work with.
Well,
Because I've only met one bad person before.
the 48 laws of
You
power.
know, yeah, like the only one like actual like oh this person is an actual like diagnosable and malicious narcissist.
Yeah, the thing is,
And
like,
everybody
even
else.
even all the other sort of people like I met at, and like, you know what? Actually, no. There's another person who I know who is like that, who I've known, longtime frenemy, now just enemy. Uh,
Not
who's
somebody I know, right?
no, but I've told you about them.
Yeah, I
Um,
know who you're talking about then.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
and
yeah.
it's the kind of person where it's like, I do think he'd be serious in like a important situation, but like when we were teens, I could imagine him doing something like malicious and just like lying about it, cuz like he
Mm-hmm.
did weird shit, like the kind of shit that Cody would do is the kind of shit that he actually did. Like there was one time when I beat him in Super Smash Brothers, and then when I had left the room, he set up a level 1 computer as the guy I was and was like beating him up and like taking out his anger on it, and that's fine or
Oh, to
whatever.
be
No,
in like a weird way.
that part's fine. The next step is the part that's fucked up and weird. He then described the exact situation with us in reverse to other people who arrived later who weren't there.
Mm.
He like literally he put it out there first so that I couldn't tell the truth
Wait.
about it.
He
He
hold
told
on.
people
So
that I
he said
lost
that
and was
you
mad.
set a level 1
Yeah, and was
computer,
beating
or
it
did
up
he
as the
just
guy he was. So he just said that I did
okay?
the thing he did.
Okay, that is psycho. That's,
Yeah. And then like they were
okay,
people he
so
knew
let's
better. So like who are
imagine.
they going to believe? The person who said it first that they know, or the other person?
I can't even imagine Kraus doing that though, because I don't think that like Kraus likes to like lie for fun.
Vale.
But I also
That's so
don't think
smart.
that
I mean
Kraus would want.
psycho.
Yeah, that's so smart. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really funny. Okay, that does just remind me of the time that somebody this was I assume we were older because this was in high school, and I had made this girl upset
Uh-huh.
that I was friends with, and she wrote an apology letter for me to read to her,
Awesome. I think you've
and
told me
she
about
kept
that.
asking me. Yeah, she kept asking me to read it to her, and I looked it over, and it starts out as an apology, but then it derails into me saying a bunch of passive aggressive and demeaning things in like in like still the form of an apology where I'm
That's
like
awesome.
pretending it's an apology, and I'm just like I'm not gonna do that.
Oh man, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, but also I don't think that she would be trying to pull shit in the middle of this situation.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, so weird.
Um,
Anyways, blah. Noelle is sad. Noelle is seemingly Kraus thinks that she likes him even though he's a bad person. He thinks he this comes out now that he thinks he's a bad person and he thinks that he's unlovable, and that's
mhm.
pretty sad.
It is pretty
And
sad,
that
and
is
I really
part.
don't think he's unlovable.
I don't think he's unlovable, and I don't think he's a bad person. I think that and like we kind of said at the beginning of all this, like he's like leans into the bad aspects of himself, probably to make himself feel better.
It's like one
Because
of
now
those
he
like
can
if
say,
I push everyone away and someone stays, then that shows that they really love me or whatever. Or plus, I didn't care anyway.
yeah, and it's also like he can have this excuse. I mean, I've talked about, we know people like this. Like he has this idea that he's a bad person, and he's like making it very clear he's a bad person. So nobody can be like, you're a bad person, because then he can be like, I know.
Yeah.
And he doesn't ever have to feel like um he doesn't ever have to feel like both responsible for it, but you would hope that it wouldn't hurt because he had done it on purpose rather than it happening accidentally. So I don't know. Hope you get better, Kraus. I know you don't, but
To hop
yeah.
back to the chat, Alien Cat Daddy had said back when we were talking about, um, I think it was the thing I said about the weird Smash Bros. Incident, but possibly about what you said, opened up a
Either
coil
one.
side reality.
Yeah.
So, do the bad thing, but only in the coil side. And then
And then
Vale
Bill,
thought it was incredibly awkward, the idea that you would read the weird apology note. But possibly that
listen,
Coil
I
would do
was
that.
the read apology note to me thing is something I can see doing at that age. Yeah, it's just like at that age, because we were like I think 16 or 17. It's like I was like,
The same age as the travelers in this arc?
yeah, exactly. I was like, but like if this had happened, like if somebody did this to me now, I would call the police.
Well, I
Like
hope not.
if somebody my age or older did this, I would be like, I'm going to issue a restraining order. Some things are fine to do as teenagers. It's just not. This is like way weirder as an adult. Like if an adult did this smash thing to you,
Look,
wouldn't you be
it was
so
weird at the
much more
time. We were
freaked
like
out?
18. It was a crazy thing to do.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Marissa.
Um, yeah, Marissa, she gets a lot of screen time these chapters. I
Yeah,
picked her
yeah.
for.
We get some good backstory on her.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah. I wanted her backstory chapter to line up with her portrait for sure. Um, and I think like it's not that her story's generic, but it's like, well, I guess maybe it is. It's good because it's kind of like not that distinct. Like her mom is like a crazy dance mom, and like she had to go to therapy for it. Like it's not very unrealistic. It's like something we've seen in the media. One of my favorite books is a
Mm-hmm.
memoir about this happening. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah, the part where she like oh, and that's because I don't think that she's been replaying the full memory to her. It seems like she's only been replaying the smile, and like that's really the thing that it's like your own mom is like wants you to fail just so that she can like continue to be right and be in control of you. That's very like Jeanette McCurdy's mom. It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
it hurts my heart too. It's like so painful. And then after that, when Marissa's like, "Is it weird that I miss her or whatever?" Cross is like, "I don't know, I don't know, probably."
I um
Um,
I think probably I would assume that it helped her feel better to talk out the whole memory, because before that she was just thinking of the smile, and like putting it in context rather than having it be the haunting vision of the Seamer doing your mom's worst like face. Uh
like yeah, the like most evil thing that your mom has done.
yeah.
um, Vale had said, I would love to read a pre-written apology note to someone. That would be so fun. I didn't because I was not sorry.
That's awesome. Oh my god, my
I
dog is
I have
snoring,
a
so if you hear that in the background,
uh alien cat says I think she stays a cape, right? Even when she goes back.
um are we talking about Marissa? I think
I think
Marissa's.
Marissa.
I think the only one. I think Luke's the only one who stays a cape.
Yeah, I think it's ballistic.
Yeah.
But yeah, Marissa. And I do feel like I mean, I'm sure maybe I hear more context later, but she probably does not reestablish this relationship with her mom.
I'm not
Or like
sure. It's
maybe she
really.
goes,
I feel like it's really ambiguous what her plan is when things sort of break later. Um,
Hmm.
but I could kind of imagine her going back to her mom, but yeah.
Yeah. And maybe like her mom, just because like she has been gone and probably and presumed dead or whatever, like maybe her mom is like willing or has changed in some way. Maybe she thinks she like ran, well, they would know because she probably knew where she was.
Well, they know the building mysterious
Yeah, like the
something,
building got demolished or
but they
something.
don't really know what happened. And they're like, they
Yeah.
don't know what happened to the. Like, they probably think powers are involved. Maybe they even have You know what I'm thinking? Maybe they have a permanent communication with Earthbat that they're able to relay what happened. So maybe it
Mm-hmm.
is publicly known that they were pulled through, but it
Mm.
thought that they all died because of. I mean, if you watch the battle footage and you don't have the exact like moments when they're escaping, it's like, well, they were in that
Yeah.
building and that building got
And then the
mega
building
destroyed.
fell. And then it got shredded to pieces with a bunch of bodies inside of it. So they'll never be able to like figure out, like confirm the deaths or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Man, the tracks
Marissa,
covering that the Seamerk data is crazy.
uh, I do think Marissa's like very brave for like going against her mom because up until now it's like they call her the mega bitch. You know she's a dance mom, but like her being like actively malicious towards her daughter in that way, like happy that she's failed or whatever, I feel like I don't know. It's like crazy that she like was like just decided to go against her and good for her, I guess. But I don't know. She's pretty sad that she doesn't have any friends right now because Chris died and Noelle has been incapacitated. And now all she has is Kraus, which is the best she's gonna get.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like Marissa and Jess should be better friends.
Yeah, I
It
don't know
seems like they
why
don't really
they
open the channel
aren't.
there.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Which it's like I feel like after I don't know, maybe they feel like torn on um I'm trying to think of like the like what Luke says, like the other if they like him, they don't respect him, and if they respect him, they don't like him. And am trying to think of where Marissa stands on that
Um, I
because
don't
maybe
know.
she's been separated from Jess in some way because Jess like does defend Kraus, and I feel like from this chapter we see why Jess defends Kraus because I think that like they like are they become allies in the because of the fact that they both have this information before everybody else,
I
and then
also
he
I think if he took the blame like he did and then made Jess the leader or whatever, that would have been like that would have been a stroke of genius, I guess, in that I think Jess would be a way better leader. And
definitely be
that
the
like they're
leader, and
already
then he could be
allies.
a yeah he could be a quiet number two for
Yeah.
her because he did this like thing for her, and so she knows she can like rely on him or whatever.
Yeah. I think their group would have had a lot better time of things. Cause
Jess should
also
have been
like
the
she's
leader.
smarter than him.
Yeah. And she like can keep a level head a lot easier. Um,
And plus, like, she's a
he's
good
just
battlefield
too.
commander because she can keep spawning in, you know?
Yeah, she can just keep coming in and probably like set something up for communication, like with her. Um, oh, what do you call them? Her puppets.
Projections.
Yeah, her projections.
Yeah.
We can talk a little bit
Let's talk
about
about
Jess.
Jess.
Jess lets Kraus take the fall. Would you, if you were Jess, would you have butted in? Because I feel like I would have butted in, and I would have been like, "No, that's not true." Listen to Kraus. It was actually me.
I don't know. It's like weird because it would have muddled things and made it really weird. It would have like undone once he does it, it like opens the weird can of worms, and then he's lying either way. It's like, I don't know. He just puts her in a really bad spot, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too because like earlier like in the previous conversation that they had, he backs himself into a corner and then she doesn't jump in to defend him. So I don't know. It's an interesting choice. It was a weird choice for him. Probably not the best one. Vale said if Jess butted in to say it was really her fault, Krauss would have made her read an apology letter.
God damn it.
I just like feel like Krauss would double down and be like, Jess is gaslighting you.
Yeah, that's part of the risk is that
And then
it's
it would like derail.
like I was saying, it would just muddle everything even further. Yeah,
If Krauss was the person to back down, then sure, but I feel like he wouldn't have backed down.
yeah. It's just like a weird, so bad. That's like his. To me, that's one of the worst actions he takes. Not because it's like a terrible thing to do, like morally. It's
Because
just like
you could have
he fucked
made a
everything up
different
so
decision.
bad.
Yeah.
Like if his plan was to turn the reins over to Jess, makes total sense. But because his like plan was to be the leader by being the only one taking actions, terrible. Don't take the blame for something that you haven't even done. Yeah. God.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm mad because I like Krauss, damn it.
Yeah. All right. Luke doesn't really do anything this chapter. He gets like annoyed. He's like clearly getting irritated at Krauss, and then like Cody keeps trying to be like, yeah, see, Luke hates you too, and then Luke like looks at him and he's like, no, no, I hate you more.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to see. I think so I'm gonna be doing the Luke artwork next week for 17.7. I just think he gets. Looks like he has the same number of mentions in both chapters, 17.7 and 17.8. But I thought his story sort of has the most to do in the next chapter, so we'll see more of him. But you know, he gets all mad. He says some stuff. I feel like he is distracted, like Krauss says. He's like, the Seamerg's just trying to keep him distracted. But he's just distracted by like the terrible leg pain of having a horribly slashed leg. Which is just one more like additional thing of like, hey, you could heal that leg with this vial. Think about that? Did you think about that? Because he seemingly has a terrible, maybe like permanent injury to the leg from 17.2. I don't know if that's how you read it, but that's kind of how I read it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty bad because he was like, it doesn't hurt that bad. But obviously he can't. Obviously it hurts that bad because he's been being distracted by the pain. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Oliver doesn't do anything this chapter, as always, except be a bystander. And I do think it's really funny that like 3 people this chapter are like, the Seamerg keeps making Oliver feel bad about himself, but nobody has asked what the Seamerg's showing him. They're just assuming. They're just totally assuming what because
the Seamerg's just
so
putting a mirror in front of its face, you know.
Yeah, she should just get.
They're so fucking
Maybe
mean.
the Seamerg's not doing anything to Oliver. He's just like this, okay? Because he's just like sitting there crying, and then like the way that Cody says it, he's like every time Oliver thinks we're not looking, he starts crying, and like nobody's been helping him.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Alien Cat said the Seamerg is the true leader of the Travelers. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
that's all about Oliver. I just thought it was really funny that he's like he goes out of his way to ask to ask Marissa what she's been going through, and then he just is like, "Well, Oliver's obviously getting visions that are making him like more meek and pathetic, but he
Yeah,
just
yeah.
doesn't ask him."
Do we think this is adding a character onto the list? Do we think it was actually Dragon talking to Trickster in the hospital, or do we think?
No, I think it was one of her AIs. I feel like they probably don't want Dragon interacting with a bunch of the quarantine people either.
I was wondering if Dragon has tried to justify to the PRT in some way, tried to make the claim that she's immune to powers or anything like that. Um,
Yeah,
because
that
she
could be
doesn't have
true.
to sleep. I don't think she would try and do that because it would call up all sorts of questions about, like, okay, let's do more research into this. So I think she
Hmm.
probably has never put that forward. But I think the assertion, no, the C-Merc could scramble her code or put an idea in her head by just
Yeah,
showing her shit.
and I
Yeah,
also think that Dragon would have showed some more empathy in this situation. Like I think she would have tried to talk to Kraus
yeah. It's like the other thing that's running
because
through
she's
a script
mother.
of, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
Dragon is all of our mom.
because Dragon is mom, and she would have been like, "Listen, it's fine."
Yeah, yeah.
I think she could have also like tried to like she would have maybe talked to him more person to person to try to get his information.
Yeah, she could have wheedled stuff out of him. She's really good at
Yeah.
talking to people. She's like Taylor.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I'm terrible with people. Gets all the
Also,
information.
if it was Dragon, she would have just scanned his face and then started fucking searching security cameras and this and that, and then she would have found out in 10 seconds
Wow, I've never
that they
found
were
this
from
guy's
an
face
alternate
before,
Earth.
so yeah.
Because that's literally what she does to Taylor. She's like, I should find out who this is. And like 20 minutes later, she has it.
Well, that's also coincidental and Regent's fault.
I think she could have done it even if Regent hadn't done that. Like that's what triggered it, obviously, was the email.
But she would have found her. She would have just been like
But she,
video footage Winslow High and watched all of it and been like, yep.
yeah.
It's the
Like
girl
there's
who
not
stopped
that
going to school when Skitter became a thing.
it's the like she's so distinct looking. Like it's the tall, skinny, androgynous looking. Like when people see her when she starts going out in costume, some of them call her a he because like they can't tell what gender she is, like even with her long hair.
Me and Taylor
And
have
then
the same build.
she's got the long curly black hair, which like I don't know. I guess it's like can you see Taylor's ears in her costume? That's what I always
No,
wonder.
no,
Can
no,
people
no.
tell that she's white?
It's a full face thing, and you can't see any of her skin. Her hair comes out through like a hole at the top of the head.
Hmm.
And she has dense hair.
Okay.
I don't think that they can see her scalp at all.
So maybe then it would be more difficult because they wouldn't be able to. Because I was gonna say it's like really uncommon for like curly black hair on a white person, but
The
I guess they wouldn't be able to tell.
the uh what's her I don't remember which one, but it's like Othala or Rune, one of the white supremacists calls her Heb,
Yeah, they think
which
they
makes
think she's
her freak
Jewish.
out for a split second because she thinks that they know her last name is Hebert or Hébert, depending on if you're French or not. Uh, and either way, she was like, "Oh my god!" And then she's like, "Oh wait, they don't know that my name is that. They just think that I'm a Hebrew." Um,
So
and
maybe they can tell that she's white then
well, because they think I
they
was
didn't
gonna say,
assume that
like,
she was
my
black.
evidence is that, yeah, that these people assume
Yeah.
that she's got Jewish heritage, but probably she's just
Yeah.
Italian.
Yeah. Um, Alien Cat said, "White supremacists think everyone is Jewish."
Sure
I don't
enough, sure enough.
know.
But
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to we'll have to think about it. Um, did you have anything else to say about the quarantine and DDID procedures? What does
oh,
DDID stand for?
I think they might say it somewhere, but I don't know off the top of my head. Uh, but hmm, we can see about looking that up in a second. But I guess as far as my thoughts on it, like I obviously think it won't work, and I think that like I get why they're still doing it also, but like I don't like security theater. I think it's a big waste of resources, and it just is a way to sort of decide here's a subgroup of people to persecute for the reason of to make it look safer to people who don't
Yeah.
know any better.
Yeah. And then like obviously like ruining people's lives for the rest of their life. I'm surprised they had six doctors, like six nurses
Six
and like
people willing
medical
to go in.
professionals.
Yeah, but
People
that's like from
willing
around the
people
whole
willing to go
world.
in. Yeah, so it's probably honestly like it's probably a bunch of people with like terminal illnesses or something. Like they're gonna be dying within the next year kind of thing.
Maybe
Or
I can
like
imagine the
really,
type
really
of
big hero
people.
complexes. Yeah.
Well, it's like a self-sacrificial act. I don't know. I'm just saying I can imagine someone with their head on straight who's willing to say, for this Seamerg, I will be the doctor sacrificed to this or whatever.
It's just, I get it, but it's also like, I feel like somebody who is self-sacrificial in that way. Like, let's take Amy, for example, who like is like, I need to always be working to save all these people, and I'm like the best person to do it, kind of thing. But that they wouldn't be able to help people for the rest of their life. So like, they would have to, for some reason, think that
Well,
they're not gonna like.
but it's like taking one for the team in like a big way of like we only need to put six people into this meat grinder that doesn't technically kill you, and that will
Yeah,
be
if
the
they're trying to
medical
hit a
care for
quota or something.
like
I wasn't
I
sure if they just like fly out a blanket or like a blanket statement like we need people who's willing to come, or if it's
that's what
like
I think it is.
we need this many people. And I don't know, I feel
Well,
like
I
adding a
think it's
number to it
I
would
think
make
it's
me more likely to do it.
we need this many people and that many people didn't show up. I think that's what it is. I think it's like
Hmm.
we need 20 people and they got six.
Yeah.
So,
Obviously bad procedures, um
well, part of why I
like
think
the
they're
whole
bad is I think that
tattoo
they
thing.
well, I think that the DDID procedures like are a vector of attack that she can use that is more direct than normal. So it's like you're handing her a weapon. Like we see
Yeah,
it happen in
and
this
that's what
very arc.
and that's what they do. And the heroes know that. And so it like sucks that it's not like they're ignorant to it because they've done these procedures before and are cognizant that the procedures
I
can
think
cause
they
more
only
issues.
actually happen through like 2 to 3 Seamerg attacks because they're like very short lived. But
Um Alien Cat says the procedures are integral into them becoming villains, right? I honestly wonder if they cause as many problems as the CMARC themselves. They
exactly,
really do.
exactly.
It completely backs them into a corner where they have no out except to be criminals, because that is the threat, is that if you don't follow these procedures, you are a criminal. But they feel they can't follow the procedures because they will be criminalized because of the fact that they're from a different Earth and that she brought them there intentionally.
And even if it's not
So,
the travelers, what if it's someone who has a natural trigger event after like a day after the Seamerg is there, like they hit their lowest point after the Seamerg is gone. They're still sort of forced into a similar position where like they will see it as like, oh, I've got to hide the fact that I had my event here, hide my identity, escape. And so, like, they might be a wrecking ball or a rocket or however you want to, like,
mhm.
interpret it. And they would be doing that, with whatever new power. And what's to say it's not a super powerful power because plenty of people with natural trigger events get like crazy powers.
Superpower powers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing about all of this is the financial aspect, because we hear on the news that the people who have been forced to move out, like, and abandon their homes and stuff forever, are being taken care of financially by the government. And these people are not the people still in the town.
Nailing it. Alien Cat Daddy
And,
said basically the thing I was saying. Yeah, even outside the travelers, like how many new and easily influenced parahumans are basically left to their own devices. Yeah.
yep. Yep. Yeah, and then the fact that the financial aspect of it, because then he's like, well, what the fuck, because he heard that, the government's paying for stuff, why can't the government pay for it? And then she's like, they can, but then we won't ever let you leave.
Yeah.
um yeah, so and like utilizing that like financial aspect, like saying, oh, well, I feel like the implication was that Noelle might not get the treatment she needs.
Yeah,
Um,
they
if they
basically
don't
say that
fill it
like
up.
as a way
Like
to
put
bully
pressure,
people
more
into
pressure.
using it, they're well, like having to do the financial information is that they'll be put at the back of the line, so they'll just let Noelle die because like they're going to treat all the other people who had their information together first. So I mean
Yeah,
like the amount of classism is palpable. Pours to the back of the
yeah.
line.
It's really bad. And I feel like this is probably like, I've never been in a natural disaster. This is probably, or not even a natural disaster, but like probably natural disasters, terrorist attacks, that kind of like anywhere where like the place is in a state of dishevelment and panic in the same way that this is. I feel like there's probably a lot of parallels
Yeah,
to what's going on in here.
I don't think I've ever been in a situation like that cuz like the only disasters that have happened here were so small scale. That tiny
Hmm.
earthquake, those tiny tornadoes.
No Mageddon, kind of.
Yeah,
There was,
that was kind of
yeah,
like
for the
that
people that,
in the most minor way.
yeah, in the most minor way. So people don't live here a few years ago. By a few, I mean 6 years ago, seven
Like
years ago.
2016 or 2017. Greg
Yeah,
probably knows the
2016 or
year.
2017, we got hit with snow and ice that was unmanageable for our infrastructure.
It was like
And
this
they,
thing happened where they didn't start snow plowing until there was already a whole bunch of snow on the roads. So what ended up happening is they plowed it, which caused the roads to be drivable, but you couldn't park anywhere. And also there was still
everything
like a
froze
slick
over.
layer of yeah, there was ice on top of a slick layer of snow. So
Hmm.
everything was kind of messed up.
Yeah.
Uh
And then the only like other example I have would obviously be like COVID quarantine. But
but
that
that didn't
doesn't
even
really
happen
work
here.
because that doesn't work because of the scale and such.
Yeah. And I mean,
Yeah,
like,
but like
I don't know about
I can
places you
imagine
interacted with, but
COVID.
nowhere I interacted with even, like, really shut down properly. Like, I stopped going out to, like, the
Yeah.
movies and stuff. I stopped going places except work, but, like, nothing shut down.
Oh, our work didn't shut down, but
You started working from home.
um
Yeah,
we
it's
all had
true.
to work from home, and the stores kept having to shut down because they would have outbreaks in the stores.
Oh, like the
Like
locations.
individual stores.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So so they would like one person, one of the customer service people would get it, and then they would have to shut down the whole store and quarantine all of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For a second, I thought you meant the local, like, actual grocery stores around rather than the
Mm,
stores we interact with.
yeah.
But yes, I can imagine uh, that probably a lot of stores did have to close.
There there was definitely a big influence on my work life.
Yeah, and
But
well,
I
just at
can
the time we didn't
imagine.
work together, and my thing didn't shut down at all. It was
Yeah.
full steam ahead because it's an online business that I worked at the time. The orders that came
Uh-huh.
in were just like surging. It was just more and more. We just had to do
Yeah,
more every day.
and I'm sure people like were ordering more to use them for sanitary purposes.
Well, there's that too, but I mean, just the demand for all online goods went up, and so
Hmm.
the tides made our boat rise or whatever. But we didn't have any new people to keep filling out the orders, and like pretty much every business I've worked for, we were already understaffed beforehand. So we're
Hmm.
understaffed. I mean, I told you there was like when I was shipping out stuff, I would average for a while 120 packages per day. That was
Hmm.
like start to finish, fully shipped, that I would deal with. So the entire workday, I was putting out a package every 4 minutes on average, all day.
Mm,
So
Jesus.
yeah, I don't know what messages got retracted, but Alien Cat Daddy said something.
I saw them pop up and disappear, but yeah. So apart from the DDID procedures, we got a little bit of context for the vials. They call them canisters, A, B, C, D, E, F. It looks like they were already. I can only assume from this. Client 1, Client 2, Client 3, Client 4, Client 5, Client 6.
Oh, Vale.
The fact that they bought all of them for a group of people, that this was specifically
And these were high
uh
rollers. Like,
no, I'm thinking, what is his name? Accord. That this was
Accord.
Accords.
Oh, you think these
Yeah.
were Accords?
Yeah, I think that he
Maybe. No,
bought
it was.
these.
It's implied that this is for a group of teenagers.
Mm,
Like when we
okay.
read the paperwork, what it says, like um, the clients, several of the clients are related to each other. One of the clients is a friend. Another one is someone who like failed the psychological thing. Another thing that I find funny
Oh.
is that the Seamerg's derailing something where somebody already failed the psychological profile. She's like, one failure, I'll give you six.
Okay, 6. Vale says you're not packing orders fast enough.
Yeah,
4 minutes sounds pretty
pretty
slow.
slow. Um,
And then for the canisters, we'll say these and then oh, you wrote out everybody's canisters. Should we read these?
yes, I wrote the matches, which A was Deus, having an 85% mixture of that, and was given to Marissa, who became Sundancer. B was Jaunt, which had a 70% power mixture, and was given to Kraus, who became Trickster. And C was 55% Prince, 30% Aegis, and was given to Jess, and Jess became Genesis. Uh, Vestige, which was a 75% mixture, was given to Cody, who became Perdition. Division was divided. Division was an 80% mixture, but it was divided between Noel and Oliver, and probably Oliver got like I think probably Oliver got like a 30-20, so it came out to like 60% mixture for him, probably, and 100% mixture for Noel. But Noel and
Mm-hmm.
Oliver become Noel and Oliver. Um, and
Yeah.
then the final one is Robin, which is only a 60% mixture, which is Luke, and he gets, while powerful as Ballistic, one of the most straightforward and basic powers. So.
Yeah. Are we doing this bonus this chapter, or did you want to do it when we do Noel's interlude?
We can save this for later. Yeah, I just pulled out all this info. I wrote it up this morning because we had talked about it the last 2 weeks. I mean, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we've been going for a while, so we don't have to do it now.
Okay, because I was gonna see if we could define, because I don't know what these words mean. I don't know what the fuck deuce means. What is that,
Deus?
Deus?
Deus
Yeah.
is like, Deus Ex Machina, like
Yeah.
God from the machine. It's like
Um.
it's the God word in that.
Okay, and then
Yeah, Deus means
I
God.
know the word I know the word jaunt means wearing top hats.
Ah, yes, jaunty hats. You know what jaunt means.
Prince. Yeah. Prince and Aegis.
Yeah, you know Prince and Aegis.
Yeah, I don't know vestige.
Vestige? It's like the last
Yeah.
vestige, the remainder, what's left. Let me see.
Okay.
What's the actual definition? Vestige. A trace of something that is disappearing or no longer exists. The smallest amount. And in biology, it's a part or organ of an organism that has become reduced or functionless in the course of evolution. So, like
Just like Cody.
Exactly. That's so funny because he is vestigial to the team as soon as Kraus takes over in 17.1. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you had us pull that out. But yeah, like we have vestigial organs, like the nub that leads to like the possibility of a tail. We've got that one. I don't remember which organ, but we have at least appendix. That's the one I think that's vestigial.
Yes.
I don't think it does anything anymore.
No, it doesn't do anything.
I'm not gonna let nobody can take my appendix. It needs to stay where it is. But look, if it's gonna burst, we'll get rid of it. But for now, I want it.
What if it does, dude? They should just They should just take it out right when we're born. Come on. Like, I don't want to. I live in fear all the time of getting appendicitis.
I guess I'm just not that worried about it.
It looms over me. It's like shingles. I also live in fear of getting shingles. It's like things that I feel like could have been could be prevented, but they are not. And so one day they'll just happen to me, and then I'll be very sad. Fucking shingles.
I do want to bring us back to Deus real quick. It's like it says here on the Wikipedia page, Wikiped, that it's a feminine Latin word for god or deity, and that what I was thinking, I don't know that there are any feminine sun gods that I can think of off the top of my head, but I was thinking that she is like the god of the sun.
Yeah, that's true.
And then Robin was what Luke got. Not exactly sure how all of these things pertain to their powers.
I don't get it. I don't. I just because the Deus, sure, yeah, right. Jaunt, yes.
Jaunt's obvious. Prince / Aegis, I don't really exactly know.
To me, the Aegis makes even less sense.
It is a very defensive power, given that you're creating a stand and you're sending it in for you, and you don't fight because your stand doesn't have to be next to you.
Yeah, and that's how it comes off as Prince to me. I just would never see Prince and then think of this as the power. Vestige, that makes sense with the definition.
It makes sense narratively, but I don't know how it relates to his time power.
No, it's like erasing. It's like erasing something.
Oh, okay. So he's getting rid of the vestige.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Division, who the fuck knows? Makes sense story-wise, as you said.
I swear, I swear, like, there is something there. It's like when she recreates people, she's like dividing out like the worst aspects of them and stuff. I'm sure that there's something we're missing where there could be a connection.
She's also dividing the ranks. It's just hard to say like how that would. Usually I feel like the basis of the powers isn't like that. Like you wouldn't have powers from a certain set that all divide the ranks or whatever. You would have powers that I don't know. I don't get it. Robin, what the fuck is that about? Can you just look up Robin and see if we're missing something?
What if there is Robin definition and it's gonna be like bird?
It's gonna be like bird that shoots things super fast.
No, this is funny. New World thrush typically has a reddish breast. I just think it's funny. It's like, a robin is just this other bird, but from North America.
Yeah.
Any number of other birds that resemble the American robin, especially, okay. And then there's the Old World thrush related to the chats. Okay. What is the meaning of the word robin? I guess the robin, depending on who you're asking, is maybe the symbolic sign of compassion, fire, death, and rebirth. So it's got like some phoenix stuff because they've got like red crest or red breast. I mean,
Yeah.
I think some of them have red crests. Surely at least one robin in the world has a red crest. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I can do some I can do some Redditing next week and see what we can crowdsource. I'm not going to post it, but I'm sure there's a thread for this.
Oh. Vale says, it might have been for the Egyptian goddess Robin, who was known for shooting objects when she touched them at very high speeds. I believe you, Vale. I definitely believe you.
Or ballistic. So stupid. I want to get into this listener audience participation question because I want to know. Can we do we'll do 17.6 first because we're talking about it.
Oh, we're skipping? Okay. We will go to 17.6 first. It is.
Ooh.
Yes, you.
17.6. Which incredibly ambiguously labeled vial would you take? I gotta know.
And we got from Greg. Pour them all in a big cup, suicide style. More literal in this case than most, though. We get Deus, because that's the Latin root for God, and I might get God powers. That's what 2 + 4 times 5 said.
Powers.
And
yeah.
Vale says Vestige sounds good, and the least likely to be taken by someone who's actually a jerk. So that is the one for me. Uh-oh.
Paschedio.
Yeah. Let me look at the list, and Alien Cat Daddy, if you're still here, feel free to answer this. Which ambiguously labeled
we would love to know
canister would you drink? So okay, so I got to pick from all 6. I'm Kraus at the start.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're yourself, but you're the first pick.
Okay. I wish I had the foresight to pick Prince, but I think I would probably pick Deus or Jaunt. You know what? I would probably, for the same reason as 2 + 4 times 5, pick Deus, and also because it has like the highest straight value number at the start. Actually, but that's another reason I might be tempted by Prince, because it's Prince and Aegis. It's the only one that has more than just a balance in it.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I think it's a hard decision. I think, you know what? I'd want to be different. I'd try and do the Prince Aegis because it's the double. I'm trying to multi-class. Teen me would try and multi-class.
Teen me is a bad reader and just sees the Prince, but also would just pick Prince. That's the most alluring.
Oh damn,
to me.
We picked the same one? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
We're gonna have to. Well, I'll just have half of it actually. If you want to have the second half.
No, I'll take a full one. If you need Prince, I'll take Deus. But like.
Whoa, we can have the same pick. That's fine. But that would be the one. That would be the one most alluring to me probably, because I'd be like, ooh.
Like if I was actually taking time.
I want to be a prince.
Yeah, I feel like I would do one of the 2 min-maxer things where I would either try and take the dual thing, or I would take Deus.
Yeah. 85, 70. I guess you would probably, I feel like you might do Prince anyways because it has the same percent. Like
you're right, it has the least balance
power
anyway.
versus mix versus balance.
Yeah. All right.
That's funny.
Let's see.
And then
Vale. Well, Vale had asked ChatGPT. I'm not sure what the exact prompt was, um, but this AI, Vale says, since nobody included AI, I asked ChatGPT for you, posted it, and I would say that this is stand-in for Dragon's answer because Dragon can't interact with these DDID folks. Certainly in Worm, during Arc 17, the Travelers take Cauldron Vials with the following names. Manton-2 enhances physical abilities and durability. Heathers
Whoa.
grants, but Heather's like single possessive. Heather's single possessive grants pyrokinetic abilities. Lotus's single possessive. Provides enhanced mental abilities and some precognition. Walkers, again single possessive, enhances speed and agility.
The name of the characters that took the vials.
Maybe. These vials
Heather
play a
and
significant
Walker.
role in the story as they contribute to the evolution and development of the characters. Fuck you, ChatGPT. You're really bad at this.
You did a terrible job. Those are none of the right names.
That's a really bad response because they don't even, there's not enough. They're all like the wrong tense because Robin, Prince, Jaunt, Deus, Vestige, Division, none of those are like a person's name and that's the thing, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just here to shit on ChatGPT.
All right, audience participation for 17.5. What do you think would have been the ideal technique to break the alt-Earth news to the rest of the crew?
And so the answers were, Vale said 17.5. First go back to get the chainsaw, then the rest follows naturally. Perfect. And then the answer from 2 + 4 × 5 was, well, assuming telling them ASAP as soon as the Seamerg leaves isn't a viable option, I'd want to tell them right after everybody's done with breakfast. So you still would have gotten hit with the thing because they were making the Brenner when it happened.
Yeah. But you would do it right after she leaves. That's crazy. I wouldn't have. Probably.
Well, them's the answers we got. What say you?
You know what I would have done? I would have been like, hey, the TV's on. And then I would have let the news play. And
Whoa, that's crazy.
I would take zero fucking responsibility for knowing
that should be the lie that he told them, was the lie of omission. He and Jess should have both been like, whoa, the TV's on, that's crazy, whoa.
Be like, oh my gosh, guys, this is crazy. Are you watching this?
I should have put the pieces together earlier.
They said the president is this other person. This is crazy. I would not have told anyone.
And if you were Jess, you could be like, whoa, I know that president. That's the Earth Bet president. And I only know that because I'm a nerd.
I just think this is one of those really tempting lying situations where I would feel really guilty for a minute and then I would totally forget that I had ever done anything wrong because things had turned out so perfectly for me.
Vale says, wait a second.
But it's so
I just thought, wait a second. Herb Walters is not the news anchor of WCBC in Minneapolis? What is this, another universe? To which I retort, they're in Madison.
I just think that would it's like the perfect play. They would never ever find out that I already knew. How would they? No.
It's another one of those things that's only a problem because they make it a problem.
Yeah. They could have just let the TV play. They were gonna freak out regardless. This was the freak out time, okay? Either they're gonna freak out at the TV and then start screaming and crying to each other, or they're gonna freak out to you directly and then punch you in the face and throw you across the coffee table.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I don't want to get
yeah.
punched in the face and thrown across a coffee table.
I hadn't decided on my answer, but then when you read both of the other answers, I was like, you're right, there is no good solution.
Yeah,
I
it's
will
like,
just simply not
yeah.
not participate.
Vale says, if I was drawn into another universe and suddenly had powers, I would be so very upset. Also, truly upset. Yes.
So
Um,
upset.
I'm so mad that I have powers now. Arrgh.
Man, I'm so mad that I have powers and also I don't have any problems anymore because nobody I know lives here.
You still have problems. It's just different problems.
Look, these are way more fun problems.
Whoosh.
I'm I'm just
Oh,
saying
wait.
once again,
Which of the
knowing
powers would
everything,
you want? Knowing everything.
knowing everything.
Of these powers that they get in these canisters, what
Oh,
they get.
Genesis is 100%, dude.
Which one?
Genesis,
Oh, Genesis. Yeah,
Genesis.
the Prince one. That's the one I'd
Yeah,
want the most too.
yeah. It's literally so good.
It's so
Um,
powerful. It's
yeah.
also
I
like
feel like if I took the vial, it just would turn out differently, and I would have a less good one. But if I could just like grab Genesis's power exactly as it is, it'd be so perfect.
another thing about it is it's one of those powers where one of the secondary benefits is you don't have to sleep ever again. Your rest
Yeah,
time or whatever is awake, and your other sleep time, you're also awake. Admittedly,
yeah.
you don't get to dream, but a lot of parahumans don't get to dream, and they also have to sleep.
And she's in like she gets a dream state for like 15 minutes or something when she's like building it.
Plus, you can go to sleep whenever you want. You're so eepy.
She can sleep whenever she wants. Can carry herself around. She could do like
She could do a
man, what's that
one-woman
guy's name?
show where she keeps appearing as different characters.
Oh man. And she can do just like normal shape shifting too, where she can just like look like different people. She could just like make herself look like celebrities and do fucking scams and make a
Yeah,
bunch of money.
it would.
The
She'd
possibilities
have
are
a whole
endless.
cameo industrial complex where she pretends to be minor celebrities. This is perfect.
It's
Um,
just I feel like hers is so good. But
it's so
I
good.
think I also really like Krause's power. Like it's just like so dynamic
Krause's
in a fight.
power, I think, is really good, but the timing on it and like the risk on it, it's more
Hmm.
suited for someone like Krause than someone like
He's very
me.
vulnerable.
Yeah, yeah. Um, well, he's also like moment to moment. He's very daring, in my opinion. He's willing to put himself in harm's way.
Yeah, he fights not as crazy as Taylor, but he's like in the throes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he is Wildbow protagonist level of crazy in a fight. Like he
Hmm.
and Terry's they're sparring each other. You know, not directly
Hmm.
with boxing, but
Hmm.
with craziness level.
It's craziness.
Um. Well, I think we can kind of round things out. I will say, since it's an infrequent live viewer, thanks for being here today, Alien Cat Daddy. I hope whatever we said that caused messages that were retracted, I hope we didn't say anything to upset you or something. But, you know, we
I
do,
was standing crossed too hard. I'm sorry.
well, you know, sometimes we say crazy stuff, so I never know. But thank you for being here, Vale. 2 plus 4 times 5, and Greg. Thank you all. And then I'm going to start up the music, unless you have more stuff you want to say before the outro.
No, go for it. Thank you again for the amazing art this chapter, William.
Oh yes,
Um,
yes. Thank you for the compliment.
yeah. So, music used in this episode is Migration by ScarlettXOX. You can go follow her on Twitch at Scarlett with 2 T's _rogue, ROGUE. Our Discord server can be found in the link in the description. The author of the work being discussed can be supported on Patreon at patreon.com/wildbow. The full text of the work is available for free online at parahumans.wordpress.com. And there's also a fan-made audiobook for the entire work at audioworm.rein-online.org. So thank you, everyone.
Cool. Well, last goodbye, and I'm gonna send us out. Bye.
Goodbye.